we are doing this morning. All right. About time. Give a minute or two before we get started. Make use of the chat room. Tell us how excited you are. Awesome. Yes, yes. Many people are still trickling in. Get started in 1 minute. You ready this morning? Ready? Ready? All right. Gotta get started now. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And for those of you maybe in another part of the world, good afternoon, or good evening, or wherever you are. I say welcome, welcome, welcome. If you can hear me loud and clear, let's make use of the chat room and just celebrate each other this morning or afternoon. And I want to say welcome to the National Social and Emotional Learning Conference for Educators 2026, powered by MarkWillows Foundation. My name is Peace Bamidele, founder of MarkWillows Foundation, and I'm going to be your host this morning for the next 3 hours. Are you ready? Let's show some excitement in the chat room because we are in for a ride. This is going to be an exciting ride. We are energized, we are excited, we are full of so much joy as we get started this morning. So let's show some energy in the chat room. I just want to see you all from wherever you are. Just say yes, I'm ready, I'm excited, I'm not sleeping, I'm ready to learn. I've got my pen, I've got my jotter. And if you want to remind somebody, maybe you invited a friend or you know a colleague or a family member or an enemy. Today is SEL day. So, okay, so you want to invite, even if it's your enemy, anybody you have not spoken with, just send them the link, tell them to join. It's about time. Be ready, be ready, be ready. Are you excited this morning? Are you excited to be part of the conference this morning? We have received registrations from across the world, literally. We've received registrations from many countries, of course, from different parts of Nigeria, over 20 states in Nigeria, from Lagos, from Abuja, from Port Harcourt, from Ibadan, from Ogun State, from Nasarawa, from everywhere in Nigeria. But of course, from other parts of the world, from the UK, from Canada, from especially Ghana, because we have one of our speakers who is based in Ghana. And so, welcome, welcome, welcome is what I say to you all. We're in for an exciting time. And as we get started this morning, just a bit of housekeeping is what we want to do this morning. All right. The line is muted, so you're not able to mute yourself so that we can minimize the distractions, minimize any interruptions that may happen as the speakers go on. All right. Only the speakers, when it's time for them to speak, will be able to speak. But please make use of the chat room. All right. Ensure that you are. Did I mute? All right. Maybe I need to set up that function now. Okay. Mute all current. All right. There you go. So yeah, minimize distractions. If by any chance you're able to unmute yourself, maybe I didn't get the setting correctly. So you want to ensure that your mics are always muted because we want to minimize distraction. A number of other things this morning. Of course, recording is ongoing. So of course, if your camera is on, be mindful of that. All right, the recording is ongoing. Be made available. Still surprised that you can mute. The setting may not be working. hold on. They shouldn't be able to do that. Mute all current and new participants. Yes. All right. Okay. The distractions, we want to minimize that this morning. So again, recording is ongoing. Ensure that at every point in time, if your camera is on, all right, you're of your best self. Okay. We want to go ahead right now. Also, let's start off this morning again. A number of people are still trickling in. I'm expecting at least about 100, 200, 300 people. We have received over 300 registrations, but we know how these things work. Some people just register and don't show up. So if you know somebody who has registered for this conference and need to be here, please begin to remind them that the conference has started. So you want to ensure that they come in quickly. All right. Now, if you are on this call now, let's just put it in the chat where you're joining us from. We have one of our speakers this morning joining us from Equatorial Guinea, all the way. So tell us in the chat room as we get started this morning, where are you joining us from and how are you feeling this morning? This is SEL. Let's do some quick emotional check-in. All right, as we always say that in the parlance, wherever you're joining us from as we get started this morning, let's get started. Martha is joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. She's one of our speakers. Excited to have you here, Martha. All right. Dr. Caroline is your mom. Okay. Nice. Look at that. We have Laura Otiti from Abia State. Good to be here. Also, tell us how you are feeling this morning. Bumi is joining us from the UK. Tolu, one of our speakers as well, joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. Mary is here. Oluwaseyi, that's one of our speakers as well. Excited to be here, joining us from Abuja. Progress is joining us from Lagos. Tolu is feeling expectant. Wow, we have somebody from Malta. Oluwafemi Fashiko, thank you for joining us. Chiamaka from Equatorial Guinea. I guess that's one of Dr. Joel's colleagues. Philomena is joining us from Lagos. Abiola Alabi from Lagos as well. Awesome. Look at that. Yes. We have lots of people also from the United States. Of course, this is where I'm based as well. So we expect people from here. We have Grace Obi from Abia State. Awesome. Thank you all. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Now, as we move along, because we have a limited time together, 3 hours. Please ensure, I mean, you stretch whenever you can, turn off your camera because it's a long stretch. There's a lot to learn. I also want to encourage you to begin to write your notes. Okay, write notes. Take a lot of note because you're going to be hearing a lot today. So you want to ensure that you are taking as many things as possible. From experience, one of the things I've realized about this is that people go with a lot of information, but they forget it if they don't actually write it down. So you want to take note and as much as possible be ready to practice. This morning also we want to recognize Starry Minds. They are a sponsor for this conference. Starry Minds, they are very good with when it comes to empowering educators and learners with skills such as this. They are a behavioral therapy organization. They specialize in supporting the overall development of children and adolescents with developmental challenges. All right. And so we say thank you to Starry Minds. I mean, there's alignment with the vision of MarkWillows Foundation, and they are willing to fund and support this conference. So thank you to Starry Minds. A few other things. Please, of course, I've said this again, keep your mics muted. We don't want distractions. Of course, the MarkWillows Foundation admin is going to try as much as possible to keep us all muted whenever anybody goes astray. No distractions. Also, please pay attention. It's a virtual conference, so there's a tendency for you to maybe want to do something else, watch TV, attend to your child, all of that. But please, it's just for a short time. You want to pay attention to all of the gems that will be dropped today. Also, take notes. I've said this before. I have my pen here. I have a jotter here with me, taking notes. As much as I've been practicing this, there's a lot of wisdom here in the room from experience, collective experience that these speakers have. Also, I want you to all engage, okay? In the chat room, if one of the speakers, if they say something exciting that ministers to you, as I like to say, that blesses your heart, that inspires you, that challenges you, you want to drop it in the chat. This is one of the ways to encourage our speakers, all right? So engage in the chat room. And then more importantly, practice. This is Saturday. So come Monday morning, if you're a school owner, if you're a teacher, if you're an educator, if you're a parent, be mindful of what can I practice immediately once I get started, once I resume back at work on Monday. What can I begin to do? Take one principle, take something that you can take with you and you can run with, share with a friend, share with a colleague, so you can begin to practice these things. Okay? Now, let's get right into today. Some of you are joining the call and you may not know who I am. My name is Peace Bamidele, founder of MarkWillows Foundation. I started this journey in 2020 alongside my wife, who is also on the call right now. The back end of things, coordinating and managing things. We saw a major need in Nigeria at the time that skills were being focused more on academic skills, people passing exams at the detriment of certain skills that were becoming very relevant in the country, in the world, globally. So did a bit of research and founded MarkWillows Foundation in 2020. And now this article you can see on your screen was written and published on the platform of the largest organization that is in charge of SEL globally. All right, they are called CASEL. CASEL is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. They wrote this article about my story, about my journey in the education sector, but more importantly, in SEL in Nigeria. So if you are interested in checking this out, certainly you want to know more about what we do, this is a great place to start. I'm going to put the link in the chat room. Of course, the website of Starry Minds is also there. I want to put that in the chat room as well. So check out these two resources in the chat room. Okay, the Starry Minds website. And then, of course, this story right here will inspire you. All right, it will tell you how we started, some of the work we're doing, the conference, ambassadors projects we were going to talk about later on. All right. So this is a great place to start if you're wondering, what is MarkWillows Foundation about? Even though we're going to say a bit more about the foundation later on. Also, if you are new to SEL, because we saw that many of our registrants, okay, again, we had almost 400 people register for this conference. Again, we know that sometimes people just register and don't show up. We understand that, which is why this is being recorded. We make it available on our YouTube platform so people can watch. For us, it's just about creating awareness about SEL in the continent of Africa. All right. And so, but we understand that from the number of people that registered, only about 2% have attended this conference before. Can you believe that? So the bulk of almost 97, 98% of the people who registered have never attended our MarkWillows SEL conference. They're coming for the first time. So we recognize that, and we always want to start out with a background. Why are we doing this? So if you're new to SEL, what you're seeing on your screen right now, these are the 5 competencies of SEL. This is the recognized standard of SEL created by CASEL, the renowned organization for SEL globally. They are known as CASEL. They came up with these 5 competencies. And these are the competencies we use to teach SEL in schools, all right, in classrooms. All right, this is just an introduction. By no means we have other trainings that go in depth. Of course, so we have self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So today you're going to hear a lot of all kinds of thoughts connected to any of these 5 competencies. So when you think SEL, these are the 5 competencies that should readily come to mind. All right, just want to give you a bit of idea about SEL in general. Also, why are we doing this conference in March? Because it could be any other month. All right, March is International SEL Day. The first week of March is International SEL Week. All right, generally all through this week, for example, in different countries around the world, particularly in the United States where SEL was founded, all right, there's something called National SEL Week happening from different states. There are campaigns going on. There's a lot of publicity. There's a lot of reaching out to federal government, state government, policy. All of that is happening, that happened throughout this week. And so we are keying into that. So for example, this year, for example, SEL Day 2026, the theme for this year is skills for community and skills for career. Skills for community and skills for career. And so that is SEL Day. So SEL Day officially is typically March 2nd or March 3rd every year. And so this year was March 2nd. And we tie our conference to that. That is why this weekend, March 7th, we're having this conference. And so if you are curious about SEL Day, happens every month. Our conference also happens every March. So it's a global grassroots campaign for social and emotional learning. All right, supporting children's academic recovery, mental health, well-being. Started in 2020, and it has reached over 40 million viewership across the world. And so this is why we have the conference in 2020 in March, and we've had it consistently since 2021. To go a bit more about SEL before I call our distinguished board chair for the welcome remarks, all right, I want you all to watch this video that would say a bit more about SEL and help us to just, especially for people who are new to the field. All right, just watch this video and learn a thing or two, just 2-3 minutes, okay?
Skills for the modern. Here's a question. How do we best prepare children to navigate and thrive in a world undergoing great change and disruption? What skills for the modern world come to mind as absolutely necessary in an era of seismic shifts in politics, technology, science, including from AI? It may surprise you, but these are the skills business owners surveyed for the World Economic Forum's Future Jobs Report 2025 say they need most. Skills in self-management, motivation, self-awareness, and teamwork. Also in analytical thinking, resilience, leadership, and both creative thinking and empathy. That's a giant leap in corporate hiring after years of promoting skills in science, technology, engineering, and math. Now compare those skills with the skills social emotional learning actually creates, and which 85 to 90% of parents say they want taught in their schools. They are exactly the same, though the terms are sometimes different, such as persistence, problem solving, collaboration, and social awareness. SEL also delivers business-favored high emotional intelligence and the capacity to manage pain feelings and mindsets, and superb relationship, communications, and conflict resolution skills, plus the ability to set and achieve goals, manage setbacks, make good decisions, think both creatively and innovatively. Both groups, business and parents, are not aware of how huge their alignment is in the skills they want our schools to teach. Companies want and badly need what SEL delivers to counter high rates of workplace problems. Parents want their children to be emotionally and relationally equipped for the modern world, not lost in their phones, with 50% saying they are overstressed. For this year's SEL Day, we're blaring this reality across America as the great match made in social emotional learning and workplace heaven, so that parents and businesses can come together to promote SEL at a time when government funding for SEL is being cut, depriving children, parents, and workplaces of the skills that are most beneficial now to individual lives and to the nature of our economy and country. Let's make this SEL Day a day to remember in history.
All right. What do you all think about that? Did that give you some context about SEL? And that is why it is my joy to welcome you all again to this conference. The speakers on your screen are ready. They are ready to dive in really hot. They are ready to give you perspective, concept, ideas, a lot of wisdom about SEL, about how to embed SEL in your classroom, about how to embed SEL in your schools. Lots of insights. So grab a pen, grab a jotter, be ready to dive in and learn and share your insights. Whatever you're learning, all right, share it in the chat, share it everywhere, and just be ready to learn. Before I invite our board chair again for the welcome remarks, please also, I want to encourage you all to go on social media. All right, I'm going to be posting the links to our pages right now on social media. Follow us and engage. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Our media team is very much at work right now, posting a lot of flyers, a lot of things that are happening right now on the conference. So you want to share, reshare, post, comment, so we can create some energy. All right. With that, it is my distinct honor and privilege to once again welcome our board chair. This is a woman who is so dear to my heart, so dear to my wife's heart. She has been with us on this journey from day one. And she has been an immense blessing. She's a coach, an instructor, a mentor, a counselor, a sounding board, and she's all around a great person, a great mind. She was my, I mean, if you have attended the conference for any length of time, you would know that she's the one who opens us up. She's the one who gives us the context and gives us where we're going, a sense of direction, because she's an expert. She's a professor, so you know that is important, right? She's a professor of language and literature of University of Lagos. She was my lecturer many, many years ago. And it's, I mean, talk about relationships. All right. We've maintained that relationship. She has been a blessing to my family. She has been a lot of impact to us at the MarkWillows Foundation, giving us nothing gets done in terms of the conference and many other things without our advice, without our direction. And so if you are anywhere on this call, please, in the chat room, everywhere, help me to celebrate and welcome our dear board chair of MarkWillows Foundation and a dear counselor to us, all our educators, all our teachers, to our very illustrious Professor Oyenike Adeosun. Welcome, man. Over to you now, man.
Thank you. Good morning from Lagos.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Peace. I was actually blushing with all those introductions. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate your wife. I appreciate the foundation and what you are doing. And I can always answer every time you call upon me. Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, educators. Good morning, leaders. Good morning, guests. I'm sure, like he said, today is an exciting day for us all, and you must be ready to learn. I am to give the opening remarks. This is a space for reflection, for imagination, for courage. And as we open this conference, I want you to be ready to use all your imaginations. Our theme this morning is future proofing education, the indispensable skills for a changing world. It invites us to think about the future, but not just to think about the future, we must interrogate the present, because for us to know where we are going, we must determine where we are. The world that our learners will inherit is rapidly changing, you all agree? And so our approach to education must also change. But when we talk about the changing world, what are the changes are we truly preparing for? What changes are we preparing for? Is it changes as directed or as automated by artificial intelligence? Is it the one that is dictated by climate change and demographic shifts? Is it about political polarization, spread of misinformation, and many other challenges? You will agree with me that the forces that are shaping the world are complex and they are very multidirectional. So before we prepare the learners for the future, we must be able to isolate those forces clearly and understand them deeply. Beyond identifying the challenges, we must also be able to envision the future we want. What kind of future do we want? Is it the future that is built on competition or collaboration? Is it one that is built on just consumption or sustainability? Is it the one that is purely directed, controlled by the technology, or where we can also flourish as human beings alongside with technology? So the future we are envisaging will actually shape the curriculum we are to design. And this also leads us to a deeper question. What then is the purpose of education in a world where we're not certain now? It is a word defined uncertainty. What is the purpose of education? Are we educated just to be employed, or to adapt, or to be resilient, or to innovate, or to exhibit our humanity? Is it possible for us to also put all these purposes as one? Because our purpose will determine our priorities. In this dynamic landscape, the question is not just how we equip our students with technical or cognitive skills, but how we nurture the human capabilities that enable them to adapt, to collaborate, to lead, and to thrive, even in an uncertain world. We should always remember that social emotional learning is not a parallel track to future ready skills. It is the very foundation upon which the future must be built. SEL strengthens teacher effectiveness, supports school leadership, enhances engagement, and bridges gap between academics and readiness for workplace and society. Within the Nigerian context, it is especially important. It is very significant. You will agree with me. So, by investing in social emotional learning, we're preparing our children, our students, our learners, not just for certification, but also for life itself. And what does it mean for us as educators, as parents? It means our roles have expanded. We're not just teachers, we are now facilitators. We are mentors, we are technologists, we are counselors, we are innovators, and most importantly, we are lifelong learners. So, how do we ensure that in playing all these multiple roles, we're not overwhelmed by the change, but we are empowered by it? How do we position ourselves not just someone who will implement reforms all around, but who will be co creators, resilient co creators, even of the future? It implies that this notion of SEL actually starts with us. Our ability to self manage, to be aware of ourselves, to manage our time, to control our emotion is being challenged more than ever. And we must be ready to embrace this challenge and forge ahead with it. So, as we begin this conference, let me ask you all, or ask us all, because I'm part of it for the next 3 hours, to allow ourselves to think boldly, to question courageously, and to imagine generously. And let us work together to build emotionally intelligent, adaptable, resilient human beings that are ready to shape the better future for Nigeria, and not only Nigeria, but for the global world. So I welcome you to 2026 SEL conference organized by MarkWillows Foundation. And I wish you all a meaningful, productive, and inspiring deliberations. Like I always say, this is just the beginning of discussion. Even after this conference, the discussion continues. You are all welcome. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Can we celebrate our illustrious professor in the chat room? I'm sure you are already fired up and energized. I mean, so many gems. I believe our social media team, they have picked some of the gems there and they're already designing flyers, designing quotes. So many gems. I can't even begin to unpack the wisdom that Professor has just shared with us this morning, how we're co-creators, how that SEO starts with us, how that SEL, I mean, the very foundation for success in the future is SEL. That is exactly why this conference was set up. The fact that the future starts with SEL. I mean, there are a number of other skills, there are a number of other tech skills that are out there. AI is advancing, but she has put it beautifully well. That the very foundation, of course, there's academic skills, but at the end of the day, machines are taking over. But remember that machines do not have emotions. What will help us to continue to thrive and succeed in this world? The SEL skills, the relationship skills, all right, the social awareness skills, understanding each other so that there's no chaos and violence and killings and bitterness and all of those things that happen, all right, in the world of work, in the world that we live in today, all of the violence and all of that is the solution is SEL. And so we want to say thank you. Yes, yes. Keep it coming in the chat room. Say, we appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the wisdom this morning that you have shared with us. We are excited. Thank you for always just being a sounding board and for sharing your perspective and for giving me guidance constantly. I remember when we were coming up with the agenda for the conference, and he said we need to develop a concept note. Let's ensure that this is clear. And I really appreciate that. I saw the wisdom in that actually. And all the speakers also appreciated preparing that concept note and sharing it with them. And so really want to thank you so much for that wisdom and your constant support. And I miss you. I miss you, ma'am. I've not seen you for a long time. Hopefully when my wife and I,
I'm sure we'll see soon,
yes,
Vicks.
yes,
Thank you
yes,
so much. Thank you,
yes.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, man. I look forward to seeing you and continue to receiving guidance from you. All right. With that, I hope all of you are, I mean, you are learning a lot already. Again, I want to just put a reminder that our chat room, our social media pages, there. I've put it in the chat room as well. Please ensure that you follow us. We have a lot of information going on already out there. That's in terms of all the gems and the quotes and the wisdom that you're going to be receiving this morning. All right, from all the different speakers. So follow, like, share, comment, and engage. That is going to be very important. All right. Now we're supposed to have the next thing is our opening remarks, or rather, the from Mrs. Manti Umar, supposed to give us our keynote remarks, but she's right now just landing off from a flight. She's a highly rated speaker, travels around the world. All right, it was the wisdom and the grace and the favor of God that helped us to be able to secure her. But she's right now landing off from a flight. She's going to be available to join us in the next 10 minutes. And so we're still going to take that, the keynote remarks from Mrs. Amante Omar. I'm chatting with her right now. She's going to let us know once she lands. So with that, we're going to move on to the next thing, which is this very interesting fireside chat I'm getting ready to have with this dear friend and brother of mine, Mr. Oluwase Yanifowoshe. I hope he's in the room right now. Let me just do a quick check, Mr. Sheyi. I think I saw you earlier in the room. Of course, that is you. Okay, awesome. Let me ensure that I can hear you and ensure that the screen is
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
perfect. Yes, 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 yes. Now you are about to be inspired. If you thought that we the conference has ended, no, you're about to see more right now and hear more. All right. So let me just continue to share my screen and then we would kick off the conversation with Mr. Oluwase Yanifowoshe. And the title of this session right now, all right, I want you to all watch this video. But before I watch this video, before you all watch this video, I want you all to listen to this record of this sterling man. Again, Mr. Oluwase Yanifowoshe and I go way back. All right. He's also on the board of MarkWillows Foundation. We've been doing this for a long time, but you have somebody who is not just a thought leader, an expert in the education sector globally, but is also a Guinness World Record holder. How many of you are a Guinness World Record holder in this chat, in this room? Me, I'm not. I am not. So I don't know who else is in the room that is a Guinness World Record holder. I'm not. But we are honored this morning. I want to just thank you so much for gracing us with your audience. Sheyi, this is a joy. I know your heart. I know you are very busy, but I know that your heart is always with us. And immediately I said, oh, if you're able to join us, you just immediately jumped on it and say, yes, let's do it. anything for the education sector. But I want you all to watch this video and then I'll read his bio and then we'll get started with the conversation. All right. This is the heart of Sheyi. Anytime you see Mr. Oluwaseyi, this is what he's always doing, inspiring us all. Let's watch this.
Comfort is sweet, but guess what? It kills potential. Comfort feels safe, but it suffocates greatness. Teachers, please listen. The difference between who you are and who you could be is the level of discomfort you are willing to embrace. If teaching feels predictable, routine, or normal, something is missing. You have stopped growing. And when a teacher stops growing, a generation stops rising. New methods may feel strange. Technology may feel overwhelming. Training may feel tiring. But that's exactly where greatness lies. That's exactly where greatness lives. David Goggins said, greatness is on the other side of what you hate. The things that you avoid are the things that will elevate you. Your comfort zone is not your friend. It is the barrier between your present and your possibility. So step out, stretch, upgrade, change. Because classrooms don't change when syllabus change. No. Classrooms change when teachers change. My name is Oluwaseyi Anifowoshi, and I am a Guinness World Record teacher.
Did you see that? Did you see that? Were you inspired by that already? Wow. Mr. Oluwaseyi Anifowoshi is a Guinness World Record holder, as you have just heard, for convening the largest gathering of teachers in the world, a historic achievement realized through the Let There Be Teachers Conference in 2025, which brought together thousands of teachers at the iconic Tafawa Balewa Square, Lagos. This landmark event not only celebrated the teaching profession, but also ignited a national movement for teacher empowerment, policy reform, and education transformation across Nigeria and Africa. He's a dynamic education policy expert, a thought leader, and advocate for teacher development and systemic education reform. With over a decade of experience spanning roles as a classroom teacher, head of department, as a school principal, he has evolved into a respected education consultant, partnering with the state government, ministries of education, development partners, and education agencies to design and implement transformative teacher-focused programs. Oluwaseyi is also the author of the inspirational book, Let There Be Teachers. That's one of his famous lines. A rallying call to restore the dignity, passion, and purpose of educators. His voice and thought leadership have been featured on major national and international platforms, including Channels TV, Arise TV, Your View, TVC Breakfast Show, where he shares insight on education transformation, teacher welfare, and public sector leadership. He's a regular keynote speaker, trainer, media contributor. Oluwaseyi is on a mission to raise a new generation of teachers who illuminate minds, inspire change, and transform generations one child at a time. Please join me and welcome and celebrate Mr. Oluwaseyi Anifowoshi. How are you doing today,
Thank
my
you
dear
so
friend?
much. I'm fine, Mr. Peace Bamidele. It's
Awesome.
always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And I'm glad to be here this morning. And good morning, everyone. I don't know where you're joining us from, wherever you're joining us from. Good morning, afternoon, evening. Glad to be here for this conference. Again, it's always a pleasure, Mr. Bamidele. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. I know you were with us a couple of years ago where we had a
Absolutely.
break time and you inspired us beautifully. It's always great to have you with us any time and every time. Let's jump right into the conversation because I want us to really go into the meat of this. Let's help us to understand how your journey to becoming an educator started. How did you find this passion? Well, how did you find your bearing in the education sector? And where's the passion from? Where's the calling from? Tell us very briefly, because I want to go into some other juicy stuff. But yeah, over to you now.
Okay, so I think it's breaking. So I didn't hear you clearly. I don't know if
Sorry, maybe the
you want to
network.
say that again.
I was saying
Yeah.
about your passion and your calling in the education sector. That how did this all begin? How
Oh,
did you
okay.
find your calling and your passion in the education sector? The number of educators and teachers in the room right now, they're wanting to see how did this all start for you?
Okay. I mean, thank you once again. So we're talking about SEL secrets for high flying educators. And I will start by saying it is being self-aware. All right. Being aware of why you are here. They say that we are born twice, right? The day you were born and the day you know why. Okay, and I'm going to quickly tell a bit of a story. Many years ago, my journey in the teaching profession started as a young boy who could not speak English. All right, and I love to say that to not just teachers but to students. You know, when I was in the classroom, um, I I was moved from one school to another primary school. And it was in this school that I realized that a language called English exists.
Wow.
At the time, I was in primary six. And there was a movement. Why I changed school was because my mom moved from one location to another. And so I was changed to this new school, a nursery and primary school. And so I was stepped down by a year to primary five because I couldn't cope academically. And then a school came up, a secondary school, a new secondary school. And I want to say that God used that school to change my life. Sorry.
Wow.
And so I went for the common entrance and everybody passed. I know I could not have passed, but I probably passed because they needed students. And that's where I met my English teacher, Mr. Fasoloro.
Wow.
And that's how the story changed. Mr. Fasoloro is the reason I do what I do today. Mr. Fasoloro, may so rest in peace. I always mention his name, because God used him for me. He picked me from a boy who could not speak English.
There you go.
I honestly cannot tell at the point where the transition happened. But what I can tell is the interest of a teacher in a boy who was nobody. All right. And when it was time for me to study, to go to the university, I couldn't think about anything else. I want to study English. I made up my mind to be a teacher early enough because it's simple. If someone did this for me, I could do this for other people.
Yes.
I believe that there will be many students out there like me who needed help. And so I made a decision to also be a source of help to those kids. And that's how my journey started. And after I've been in the classroom for a few years, and I always say this, I didn't like what I saw in the classroom. I looked, I would normally say that I'm a teacher by choice, not by chance. We know ourselves, right? And, but it's okay if you came here by chance. It's fine. And that's why we're trying to revolutionize the profession, to say that even though you don't want to be here, you can still make impact. Anyway, right? So when I got into the profession, this is what I love, but I didn't see that passion in other teachers. I didn't like the way they were carrying themselves. I saw how teachers were being ridiculed or being humiliated, or I even saw teachers how they don't even carry themselves with honor and pride and dignity and respect. I didn't see that in a lot of teachers. And I thought, what can we begin to do? What can I do personally to change this narrative? And that's how the spoken words came about. All right. The teachers begin to, you have a role to play. You are not just a teacher. You are not just a teacher teaching your subject. I normally say that you're not just a teacher because you teach math or English or social study. You're a teacher because you have the capacity to influence, to illuminate, to change. All right, today I'm a Guinness World Record, all to the glory of God. But it started by a teacher believing in me.
There you go.
All right. And so, as many of us that are here, you can, many years to come, let a student mention your name to say, but for this teacher.
Yeah.
All right. That's where my passion started from. And so, rather than just teaching students right now, I then transitioned to a point where I can begin to encourage my colleagues to say, let's begin to, I'm trying to remember the name. So instead of being able to teach 10 students, if I work with 2, 3, 4 teachers, then the numbers would have increased, would have doubled up. All right. So that's why I do what I do.
Amazing.
That's why we're here, Mr. Peace.
Amazing. One life. I mean, just one teacher being interested, taking the due diligence, going the extra mile to be genuinely interested in the welfare of the
Absolutely.
child can impact that child so much and so well that that child goes on to begin to influence and impact millions more. That is the power we have as teachers. If you're on this call listening to this right now, the teacher that Mr. Luasheyi mentioned is no more. But look at the impact. His impact is still alive because right now, Mr. Luasheyi is an extension of this man. And he has gone on to win
Absolutely.
awards, convene large gatherings of teachers, impact and influence lives. That is the power that we wield as teachers. And I know that most of you all know this, but this is just a platform for you to begin to remind yourselves of the fundamentals and the impact that your work and your words have on students. Now, I want us to go into the conversation on this Guinness World Record thing. Yeah, this because again, the title of this fireside chat is SEL Secrets of High Flying Educators. Obviously, of course, if you have won the Guinness World Record, you are a high flying educator by all means possible, by every standard possible. And before we go into the conversation, I know people may not know what we're talking about. What is this Guinness World Record thing about? What did he do? Now, let's watch this video. All right. It will tell you a bit more about this. Of course, this is him winning the award. That is the plaque, that's the certificate. But this video will do a bit of justice.
Right. Shall we take our good news report now? Celebrating Nigerian teacher Seyi Anifowoshe, who has officially entered the Guinness World Records for convening the largest gathering of teachers in history. This remarkable achievement was accomplished at the Let There Be Teachers Conference 2025, held on September 20th at the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos. The historic conference brought together thousands of educators from across Nigeria and beyond, creating an unprecedented gathering that has now been officially recognized by Guinness World Records as the largest teacher assembly ever recorded. Anifowoshe's vision to unite teachers on such a massive scale demonstrates the power of educational advocacy and professional solidarity. The Let There Be Teachers Conference 2025 not only broke records, but also provided a platform for educators to share knowledge, discuss challenges, and celebrate the teaching profession. The event showcased Nigeria's commitment to education and highlighted the crucial role teachers play in national development.
We gathered not as strangers scattered by distance, but as a people bound by one truth: teachers matter. Dear teachers, this conference is for you. You are not invincible. You are not forgotten. You are the soul of our nation. You are the silent architect of the world. You are the galaxies moving among men. You are not just teachers, you are revolutionaries. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Oluwaseyi Anifowoshe, and I'm proud to say I am a teacher. Let there be teachers. We are the teachers. We raise the nation. Let there be.
What an amazing feat. Congratulations. Anifowoshe's record-breaking conference sends a powerful message about the value and importance of teachers in our society. By bringing together the largest gathering of educators in history, he has created a movement that will inspire teachers across Nigeria and around the world. Huge congratulations. Rufai, I know that you are quickly part of it. 30 seconds.
Yes, so I do a lot of work with 1 million teachers. Akil Suba and Rizma are the founders,
Yes.
very good friends. And they've also helped me deploy teacher training at the Oseni Center in Odobulu. And the whole process was just to be able to have a day to celebrate teachers. The ideology is, they say a teacher's reward is in heaven. No, We want to make it on Earth.
Yeah. On Earth.
And what we did was, after publicity and all of that, we gathered over 5,000 teachers. Normally we said about 60,000, but we couldn't get 60,000, so we gathered about 5,000 teachers, and we broke that record. And Ifeoshe really powered it and led every teacher to 1 million teachers.
Fantastic. This is beautiful. A teacher's reward is right here on Earth.
Teachers are the backbone of a nation.
Every nation.
It's for government to invest more in the education of our children. Because in doing so, you build the future.
Fantastic. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on what's trending, and kudos.
Awesome.
Shall we take our good...
Okay, let's unpack that just for 5 minutes. It takes more than skill to do that. I mean, it takes more than just, I want to be the Guinness World Record. I want to achieve some big milestone. It requires mindset. It requires inner work. What did you have to do to achieve that? What SEL skills did you have to deploy? I can see relationship management, all the partners that you had to connect with. I can see, strategy, self-awareness. You know exactly what you want to achieve, the where, the who, the what, the when. And what lesson have you learned that you can share with us this morning? 5 to 6 minutes. Let's unpack that shortly.
Okay. There's so much to talk about, right? But I would try as much as possible to make it brief, just so that everyone here can take a few things, right? And let me start by saying this, that there's nothing that we want to be. There's nobody that we want to be without acknowledging God first. Let me quickly, based on I call myself a global education advocate. At the same time, I call myself God's education ambassador. All right. I believe I'm in the education space and I have a pulpit to reach out to many people. So I like to acknowledge the fact that it is God that makes things happen. There is the God that rules in the affairs of men. All right. Success in life is understanding that, the spiritual powers the physical. All right. And you understand that there is a source, and that source is God. All right. I needed to say that. Anyway, so back to, our conversation. Right. So there are 3 SEL skills that I probably would just put as a sum of everything. That's being self-awareness, responsible decision-making, and resilience. All right. It's understanding that you are here for a reason. All right. See, there is something that you see that other people cannot see. All right. That is, and that's the power of sight. All right. That is something that you see and you feel that this thing shouldn't be. And that sight gives you the passion. All right. It gives you that thing to be able to, that you know that you can change it. All right. When you see something wrong, rather than complain about it, what indication it is to you is that you have the power to change it. All right. Now, everything, success in life is driven by 2 things. All right. All right. It is, all of us here on this call. All right. I know that there is something that you are thinking of. There's something that you can do, there is, but your success in life are just tied to 2 things. Number 1, beyond conviction. What are you willing to do about what you are convinced about? All right. What you have seen, what you want to do, what you desire to do. What are you willing to do about it? All right. What steps are you willing to take? And quickly, I think I have somebody who said that's Robert Stan. He said something. He said, our conviction at the end of the day are what we are willing to do about what we believe in. All right. What you're willing to do. And then another person said that this is Lisa Nichols. He said, conviction and comfort don't live on the same block. If you are going to be convicted about something, you might have to go through some discomfort. And finally, this is Ike Johnson. He said, commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do, long after the mood you said it has left you. All right. So So number one is the fact that what are you willing to do about what you really desire to do? And then number two, which talks about resilience, is about the fact that staying true to what you're doing. There will be challenges, all right? There will be challenges. People will doubt you, people will abuse you, but staying true to that passion, to that commitment is what will make you outstanding at the end of the day. All right. So, I think I'll allow you. I don't know if I've answered your question.
That is a lot. That is just so much to unpack, and that is why we're recording these sessions, because we want to ensure that you all can go back and listen again. For me, when I saw that you were attempting, because even last year, when we had the conference last year, we advertised the event and we said, "Oh, all of you join." I was hesitant. I said, "Yeah, is my friend going to be able to achieve this thing?" I mean, it's a tall order. It's a major milestone. I mean, there's a lot of publicity, a lot of work went into it. But what I saw that fascinated me, that encouraged me, that okay, I think this guy's going to do this thing. I began to saw partnerships. I began to saw you collaborating with a lot of other stakeholders in the sector, a lot of education consultants, a lot of media agencies. I saw that 1 million teachers. I mean, you had that bearing. And that is why for somebody on this conference right now, listening to us, great things are not done in alone. Great things are not born. If you want to do great things, you can't be in silos. You can't be doing it in silos in your own corner. You have to be mindful and intentional about partnering, about collaboration. And this is one of the heart of SEL. And that speaks to, I mean, social awareness. You know all the skills that are out there and the people who have the skills that you want to partner with. And then you now begin to build relationship, because that's another competency of SEL, relationship skills. Oluwase over the year, and this is not the first conference he has. I mean, we've done conferences together. He has hosted events, and over the years, he has been able to leverage that network and build that network of relationship with the stakeholders in the education sector, such that by the time he said, I want to do this thing, I want to do this big thing, I want to do a Guinness World Record conference. He was not running helter-skelter trying to find who to help him. He already had that support structure. And that is something that I want to emphasize. Yes, don't do things in isolation. Don't do things in isolation. That is one of the big things that he did well for this conference. And as we go along, as we wrap up, I know this is not the end of what you're doing. In fact, there's another video I want us to watch recently. This will inspire you all, because you say, oh, okay, what next after Guinness World Record? Okay, so is it only Guinness World Record we should be pursuing or aiming to do it with our lives, just win awards? Is it all about winning awards? No, it's not. It's not about winning awards, because awards, what they do is to send signals out there that this guy is up to something. And so he begins to get people who are the players, the government officials, they begin to take note. And that is exactly what has happened to our speaker. You take a listen at this video right now. See what is going on.
In other news, now the Federal Ministry of Education has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening the teaching profession in Nigeria as it met with the Guinness World Record holder, Oluwaseyi Anifowose, over plans for the 2026 Let There Be Teachers Conference. The meeting focused on partnership, teacher recognition, and reform aimed at improving welfare of public perceptions of educators across the country. Miriam Mohammed has details.
The Minister of Education, Maruf Tunja Lausa, and Minister of State Education, Suwaiba Said Ahmad, discussed how to advance the teaching profession with Guinness World Record holder Oluwaseyi Anifowose. Mr. Oluwaseyi called for greater recognition of teachers, including national public holidays, and announced plans for a nationwide conference targeting 200,000 teachers in partnership with the ministry to drive empowerment and reforms.
So, on that note, I wish I'm pleased to receive you today, Mr. Oluwaseyi Anifowose, and congratulate you for putting Nigeria, for putting a country, for making a president proud, organizing a teacher conference where you mobilize a high number of teachers. And with the conference that you said, we will collaborate with you to support you The more mobilization, the more advocacy, the more confidence, the more opportunities we give to enlighten society.
You all see that? Playing with the big wigs. Isn't that amazing? You see that? Let There Be Teachers Conference 2026 is happening in partnership with the federal government. Do you see that? So can you unpack that for us very briefly? This is not just about winning an award. This is about influence at the highest levels. This is something that happened just about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, because I saw it online. I said, I'm going to talk about this at the conference.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
going on right
2 weeks.
now with Let There Be Teachers in terms of 2026 and your partnership with the federal government? And to add to that, if you can wrap it up together, what one lesson as you wrap up can you give to a teacher who is wanting to be a high flyer like you? Wanting to dominate the world and find themselves. Maybe they are just within the four walls of a classroom, and that is fine, but there's a yearning in their heart to want to do more, to want to impact the world, to touch the world. So, two questions in one. I hope you can knock it off in 3 minutes. I trust you. Let's go.
I hope so. I hope so. But thank you very much. So, dear teachers, I just want to. You probably have heard this before, but I just want to encourage you that your vision is achievable. Your dreams are possible if you believe and you're willing to do so much more, and you're willing to give a lot to it, right? It starts from having a personal conviction. When we're going to do Let There Be Teachers Conference last year, a few people that I started to share it with, a few people doubted it. But my conviction pulled through. All right, that's one. You must have a personal conviction. And I think I went ahead of myself. Have a conviction, and your conviction must be strong enough, because there will be tests, there will be trials, there will be challenges. That's number one. Number two, failure is beautiful. All right. I call it the beauty of failure. I call it the strength and the power of failure. I didn't get here all of a sudden. I have failed before, but I didn't fail and remain there. I failed and I failed forward. I remember many years ago when I organized an event in Abuja, I think 2021, organized an event in Abuja. I had invited notable speakers. In fact, I'd invited Professor Patutomi. I'd never met him. I invited him to Abuja, a young boy who had never met him, and he came, other amazing speakers. Guess what? That conference was a failure. Like, I didn't get enough resources to pay for the hall, and the hall was not open for the speakers and for the audience to engage. And I rose up from that event, and it gave birth to Let There Be Teachers book, first off, that year. I wrote the Let There Be Teachers book that year, and then see what has come today. So I learned my lessons from that event. So anytime I want to organize an event, the first thing I secure is my venue. All right, I secure the venue. I ensure that certain things are in place. So that you have failed once doesn't mean that you can still do that again. So don't allow failure to stop you from becoming who you are. All right, and of course, see, coming to 2026 after Let There Be Teachers 2025. All right, people told me that is somebody that I so much have regard for. All right. There's somebody that I see as my mentor, as a coach. And there's a fallout. All right. And why? Because I believe that I can do 2026 conference. And he said, no, I shouldn't. And we spoke about 2, 3 times. And each time we spoke, I convinced him that 2026 is possible. All right. And why are we doing 2026 conference? We need to leverage on the strength of 2025. All right. I mean, one of the things that we knew that I used to say in 2025 is the conference was not a destination, it was a journey. All right. And even 2026 conference is still a journey, because the idea is to create a global platform, create awareness, advocacy for people to begin to respect the teaching profession. All right. So you must believe in yourself, believe in what you do. All right. Have the courage to go about and reach out to people. You took it right out of my mouth when you were talking about power of relationships. Leverage your strength, leverage the power of relationship, have the courage to reach out. There are people that I reached out to on social media, people I never knew. I reached out to them because you can't do it alone. I think that is Progress on this call. Progress Uchendu is one of the people that supported me on during the conference. Because you can't do it alone. You have to collaborate. The power of relationship. Yeah. But I like to emphasize the courage to reach out. Now, 2026, we were trying to, I believe that it was doable, and I started to do a few things. Guess what? I wrote to the presidency. They did not, whether they saw me or not, I don't know, but I reached out. I wrote 2 letters to the presidency. I wrote one to the president, and I wrote another one to the chief of staff. And I documented everything. I put all the pictures, and I storified it, and I said, I've done this before, I'd like to do it again, and I'm asking for federal government support, because what I'm advocating, I can't do it alone. Yeah. You need institutional backing to change education in Nigeria. You need institutional backing to reform. All right. And so I wrote to the presidency last year, November. And guess what? My letter was ministered to the Minister of Education, and boom, we have the federal government backing. All right. So don't be scared. Don't be afraid that people will not agree. Just reach out. Yeah. Reach out to people. You never can tell. You see, they say that what you're looking for is also looking for you, but it's not going to meet you in your home. You have to reach out, leverage your relationships. This year, we're gathering 200,000 teachers. And this is the idea. All right. It's a nationwide advocacy. It's also a Guinness World Record attempt, largest gathering of teachers, but multiple locations. So we're going to be having the event at the 37 locations, including the FCT, at the same time. So we're gathering 5,000 teachers in 36 states and 20,000 teachers at the FCT, making 200,000 teachers. And so the event will be happening live in Abuja, and then the other states will be like the centers. All right. And so with the federal government backing, it's just to engage them they're able to mobilize teachers, get venues. And so we're going to be transmitting the event from Abuja to every other state. So we will have 2 events that day. The national event where we'll transmit something around INEC Collation Center. Imagine the idea of INEC Collation Center where Abuja is happening. So when the minister is speaking, every state can connect. And then at some point, we will disconnect from the national, and then there will be state-owned events and programs. But the idea is advocacy, and we're looking at October 3rd or October 5th this year. So we need to create that buzz. We need to create that movement, because, teachers are at the core of education. You cannot transform education without teachers. They must begin to take teachers seriously and responsibly. Teachers must be respected, recognized, and rewarded. And that's where we are today.
Woo-hoo! Can we all celebrate Mr. Oluwase Yanifowoshe this morning? Such an excellent closing. Inspiring closing. You never know what is on the other side of your fear. You never know what is on the other side of you stepping out and reaching out. Of course, he never knew all of this was going to be happening 2026, the federal government backing and all of these centers happening, October, 200,000 teachers. Wasn't on his mind. It was just about, let me just do this one. But when you step out, you never know what is on the other side. So here's a call to everyone on this call. If you're willing, this is 2026. The year is still relatively new, still new. It says March. So you still have many months ahead of you. Step out, do something, fail, but fail forward and fail fast. Fail forward and fail fast. Keep moving. Learn the lessons quick. Leverage relationships so that you know what doesn't work so you can pivot quickly. That is SEL in action. And I want to say special thank you to Mr. Oluwaseyi Anifowoshe this morning. Can we show him some love in the chat room? Let's celebrate this man who is transforming the sector, is passionate about it. This is not about money. This is about passion. This is about impact. This is about leaving a legacy. This is about transformation. So, my dear friend, thank you. Please let us know however you can support you. Please ensure that you follow Mr. Oluwaseyi Anifowoshe on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Follow all the great work. Attend his conferences. Is somebody I value and love so much. I celebrate all your good work. Anytime I see you online, it thrills my heart so much. And we're just so honored to have you on the conference today and wishing you great success in the Let There Be Teachers Conference 2026 and even greater heights. More. The world will call for you. The world, they will send for you. I'm looking forward to you coming to the US to speak at the UNESCO conference or some, you just taking over the world, because that is what we have. When you're willing to step out, the world will be at your fingertips. Thank you so much, Mr. Oluwaseyi, today, and I'm wishing you a great time. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, let's celebrate him in the chat. Let's put him in the chat. Thank you so much for this exceptional time we've had. And I know so much is going on in the on the different platforms, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. So if you are here right now, you have not been engaging in the different platforms, now is the time. Now is the time. And I mean, it's my great honor to announce also that our keynote speaker is live in the room, and we're going to have her shortly. All right. I'm excited that she was able to make it. And I mean, in spite of the odds, let me just do a quick check before I invite her to the screen. Can you confirm that, Mrs. Imante Umo? Let's be sure that you are live here with us right now, because I know I saw you on the call earlier on, but just want to be sure that you are here right now. Mrs. Manti Umar. Yes, I think she's here. All right. Now, this is somebody, again, like I said earlier on, a high player. I mean, she's been there and done that. She's a master at SEL. I mean, in 2022, when I was writing my book, The Learning That Matters, I'm going to say a bit more about that later on. I was doing in-depth research on SEL, going to different fields, different journals, studying, and I came across this publication, very interesting publication by Lego Foundation. I mean, Lego Foundation, they are very invested in SEL. They support SEL projects across the world, and they recognized her work. Work is Nail Pro, supporting SEL in Nigeria. So, wow, who is this person? So I Googled her, did a bit of research on her work, and I was impressed. And since then, I've been following her, and it's just an honor to have her here on the call with us. Mrs. Umante Uma, I hope you can hear me. You can unmute yourself now, but let me just read her bio as we get her ready. Mrs. Umante Uma is a globally recognized education consultant and management consultant. She's a policy development expert. She's a senior partner at the Purple Patch Consults with over 20 years of experience in education management, policy development, and leadership across Africa. She's at the forefront of driving transformative education reforms, digital inclusion, and sustainable human development. As the chair of the Council Future Plan of Nigeria, Manti leads an interdisciplinary knowledge network dedicated to shaping the country's sustainable future through policy innovation, leadership development, and strategic collaborations. She's also the executive director of Community Stakeholders for Social Good, spearheading initiatives such as the Akwa Ibom Business Leadership Summit, Akwa Ibom Youth Leadership Summit, and Akwa Ibom Women in Leadership Summit, all focused on empowering Africa's next generation of leaders. She's a pioneer in the integration of artificial intelligence and quantum computing in education. Manti leverages emerging technologies to create personalized learning experiences and bridge the education accessibility gap for learners in underserved communities. Groundbreaking projects, including the teen mental health curriculum, SEEL, and the Nigerian Emotional Learning Project, NELPRO, which I talked about earlier on, have redefined learning paradigms, embedding social and emotional learning, leadership, and innovation into mainstream education. With all the joy in your heart, let's welcome to the National Social and Emotional Learning Conference, powered by MarkWillows Foundation, Mrs. Umanti Umar. Let's be sure that she's not having any challenge. Let's put in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me be sure she's online now. I know she said she was experiencing some challenges with her network, but I think she's online. I saw her earlier on. Mrs. Umanti Umar, are you there? Let's welcome her. Let's welcome her while she tries to join by. I think she dropped off just not too long ago. All right, she's back in right now, coming in, coming in hot. All right, Mrs. Mantuma, can you hear us? You have the
Hi,
floor.
good afternoon. Can you hear me clearly? Can
Yes.
everybody hear me? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. How is everybody doing? Oh, it's good morning. Sorry.
This morning.
Good morning, everyone. And how is everybody doing? Please, a thumbs up if you can hear me. I apologize, the network is really, really slow where I am, but I will do my best to use as little time as possible and share what it is that I have to share. I enjoyed this session before me, even though the network kept fluctuating. It's a privilege to join you all at the National Social and Emotional Learning Conference for Educators in 2026. Um, it's such an honor to have. I know that Prince Bamidele will say, why do I have to run after any human being like this? Even I do not know why I have to run after myself, but please pardon me and forgive me. When it is that I do give my word to be there, I will be there, even if I am quiet for quite a bit of time. And today I just checked flight times and I knew that I would be here on time, but for what Airtel did. Um, Today is good as we reflect on the powerful theme, future-proofing education, indispensable skills for a changing world. When we speak about the future of education today, the conversation, often turns quickly to technology, digital skills, artificial intelligence, and innovation. Recently, I concluded a community project where we reached out to 21,000 underserved young people in communities around Nigeria, somewhere in Nigeria. And one of my volunteers said she was completely surprised. This volunteer is 19 and is completely surprised to know that there are young people and there are teachers in Nigeria that do not know what an email is. Email. And as much as that may come across as something funny, for them it was very emotional to think that this thing that they access freely and has become common knowledge for one is something that is extremely far from the reality of the other. These are important conversations, but you see, if we pause for a moment and look deeper, we will begin to see a simple truth. Technology may change the tools of the world, but it does not replace the humanity required to use them wisely. And this is where social and emotional learning becomes indispensable. Social and emotional learning reminds us that, education is not only about what students know, it's about who they become. The skills that will sustain individuals and societies in a rapidly changing world are rooted in deep human capacities for me. And self-awareness, emotional regulation, empathy, collaboration, responsible decision making, self-alignment, resilience are but a few words that we would use to describe the kind of future that we hope that young people would have. And without these foundations for me, I see that the most advanced knowledge or technical ability we feel that we want to pass on to young people cannot reach its fullest form. Because if you do give people the essence of artificial intelligence, you give them access to digital learning, when you do not teach them the empathy with which it is used, in truth, we will not have an addition of SEL in education. We would then have a crisis. SEL is not even, when I share with people, I say, yes, I have developed a curriculum for social and emotional learning, but it's not an addition to education. Rather, I think that social and emotional learning is the foundation for all learning. Because the idea of learning, the idea of knowledge is for people to be able to understand what to do with that knowledge, how to use it to influence not just the minds of others, but to influence change. Parents need to understand social and emotional learning even before they have children, to be able to understand balance. Teachers need to understand the minds of their children to be able to reach it. So let's think about the skills we say students must have for the future. Right now, we're talking about adaptability, we talk about creativity, we talk about leadership, we talk about critical thinking. Many people are asking, we want collaborative people. Every one of these grows out of strong social and emotional learning. A student cannot collaborate effectively. A teacher cannot even teach effectively without empathy. A leader cannot inspire without emotional intelligence. So a problem solver cannot persist without resilience. And so then you realize that sadly so, we have been placing the cart before the horse when we take education as a priority rather than taking social and emotional learning. The core of what it is that is existence, that is change, that is leadership, that is sustainability or continuity, is rested on the shoulders of the understanding of how our social networks work, how our emotions respond to it, and the depth of what it is that is learning. Our education system is navigating very profound change. There's a lot of social transformation. And you see, when I begin to say that, you will ask me, what's happening? The Nigerian curriculum is abysmal, it's not up to par, it's not taking us. But here's the thing, our education system is navigating profound change. The social transformation happening, the technological disruption, because more people are becoming aware of not just artificial intelligence, but we're talking about machine learning, we're talking about different technological skills. We're evolving labor markets. They're evolving labor markets now with the digital banks and financial institutions that are coming up, and the aspirations of a rapidly growing youth population. You see, in this environment, preparing learners only for exams is no longer sufficient. We must prepare them for a life, work, leadership, and citizenship in a more complex world than the ones that they exist in. So social and emotional learning plays a critical role here. It strengthens teacher effectiveness, it supports school leadership, it deepens student engagement, it connects academic learning to real world readiness. But there's something else I would like us to remember. Social and emotional learning is not taught only through lessons and programs. It's good you'd say to me, oh, Manti, you developed a curriculum for social and emotional learning. Then why would you be the one to say that? I realize that social and emotional learning is transmitted through culture, relationships, and examples. Students learn emotional intelligence not simply by hearing about it, but when they experience classrooms where respect, empathy, reflection, responsibility are practiced daily. I don't go into a classroom and ask my students, even in underserved communities in Nigeria, I don't walk in there and say to them, stand up. Please may you stand. Stand for prayers. And then you realize that even the roughest of students respond more to the emotions that I pass on to them. And you say, oh, why are you such an amazing teacher? No, is that I do understand that the psychology of a hardened person is hardened because of the community, the culture, the learning in which that person was surrounded with. And they only become defiant based on what they have received. And to redirect that culture, I, as an educator, must become the living curriculum I want my students to be. When teachers model patience, when school leaders cultivate trust, When institutions nurture belonging, we create learning environments where young people develop not only intellectually, but also socially and emotionally. And that, in many ways, is the true meaning of future-proofing education. I'm not trying to predict every future skill. That would be impossible. Rather, we are building human beings who can navigate uncertainty, they can adapt to change, they can build relationships, and they can make wise decisions in unfamiliar circumstances. In the end, the future will not belong simply to the most knowledgeable. It will belong to the most adaptable, emotionally intelligent, collaborative, and resilient individual. And you see, that journey begins with us as educators, as leaders, as mentors, policy thinkers, whatever it is that whatever title that you carry to shape the environment in which learning takes place. The journey begins with you. Mm. So as we engage in this conference, I'm asking that our conversations will move beyond theory into practice. I'm hoping that we'll be able to explore how social and emotional learning can be embedded into our teaching, our leadership. We have trained 15,000 teachers plus so far in understanding the dynamics of energy transfer. And when somebody heard that, they say, why are you teaching about solar energy? No, we're teaching you that your energy is what determines the energy in the classroom, the outcomes in your classroom, the behavioral patterns of the children in society, the economic differences. If you teach children to be resilient, they become resilient. If you teach them what it is by having consistency, they will also learn from you. At the end of the day, as our children are, we are first. Because when we strengthen the social and emotional foundation of education, we're not just improving schools, we're shaping the kind of society our children will inherit. Thank you very much, and do have a successful conference.
Wow, wow, wow. Never heard it like that before. Amazing. Can we celebrate Miss Mante more this morning? This is so much for me. I've been taking um, copious notes as she was speaking. She said, education is not about what students know, but who they are. Can you think about that for a moment? Education is not about what students know. Maybe you have always been, oh, it's about let me just get them to pass this exam. She's telling you this morning, preparing them for exams is no longer sufficient. You have to prepare them for the complexity that is in the world right now. Reminding us that social and emotional learning is the foundation for all learning. These are some of the gems I have written down. I don't know what you have written down. I have tons of notes here. She said, you must be the living curriculum. You must model these skills. And that is going into some of the things we're going to be covering in the remaining fireside chats this morning. That look, you are an embodiment of SEL. You don't place the cart before the horse. But that's what we've done for the longest. The horse must be in front, and SEL is the horse that drives all other forms of learning. I can go on and on, but I'm glad this has been recorded, spoken softly, spoken gently, but spoken powerfully and spoken deeply. You know that she is a practitioner. She's not just a talker. She teaches, she practices what she teaches. And we just want to celebrate you, ma'am, for the great work you're doing in the sector, the transformation, the thousands and thousands of people you're influencing. And we are excited that you were able to join us this morning to share all of this great wisdom. Can we get some comments in the chat? Just can we celebrate her for all the gems and all the wisdom she just shown us this morning? All the things you've learned. Can you drop it in the chat? What part blessed you? Follow her on LinkedIn as well. She posts very inspiring thoughts every week. I follow them on LinkedIn. I always look forward to reading those interesting and inspiring comments and posts on LinkedIn. For me, I always like to stay inspired. And so when I see somebody who is inspiring, I just jump in and I go right in. So once again, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for, in spite of the challenges with technology and the network, for making it and you being a person of your word. I mean, you didn't cancel on us. in spite of your schedule. Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to working more with you in the future, doing great work in the education sector. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I look forward to listening to the recording. There's always an opportunity to learn more, learn from other people, understand different perspectives of social and emotional learning. Being the foremost tutor or person that has researched SEL does not even mean that I've scratched the surface of what the relatability of SEL will be for our classrooms. And because our target is to grow more people that understand that education lies more in empathy and behavior than it is academic, I look forward to listening to the voice messages and to joining more sessions with you. Again, I apologize for joining you late and the network issues.
Not
Do
at all.
forgive me for the character, and I hope you have very amazing deliberation.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
Thank you so
Have a
much. Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I see all the great comments in the chat room as well for all the things you learned and very inspiring. All right, let's keep it going now because of time. The time is running on us. Now, I want to introduce a set of people that excite me. All right, these are MarkWillows Foundation ambassadors. So in 2020, I think it was 2023 that we started. We launched what we termed the MarkWillows SEL ambassadors. These are teachers, educators who are interested in learning more about SEL. And for the last 3 years, we've had 5 batches. So in 2023, we had 2 batches, 2024, 2 batches, 2025, we decided to streamline to 1 batch every year. And so over 120 educators through MarkWillows Foundation have been trained and empowered with skills, resources, training, all kinds of things about SEL that they are now taking back to their communities. Some of these people you can see on your screen, they have trained hundreds. I mean, one of our speakers today trained over 1,000 teachers, and she told me after she became an ambassador. Another person in Kano, and these are educators in different parts of Nigeria. Kano, Abuja, Lagos, of course, many parts of Lagos, Ibadan. We have Mr. Steven from Ghana and some outside of the country as well. So we are excited about this aspect of our work, empowering educators with the skills and learning to be able to impact not just in their school, but also training other teachers and ensuring that the word continues to spread. And we have them, we continue to provide them with these resources every time. We empower them with on the WhatsApp group, we empower them with funding, scholarship to be able to train. We do that every year. We also send them to conferences. One of such conferences was the Pan-African Convening on Social and Emotional Learning. So these are 3 of our ambassadors standing right beside or in the midst of the one of the renowned speakers. Of course, she was here last year as well. She was the keynote speaker last year, Mrs. Rhoda Odigbo, renowned speaker on SEL as well. She has convened, she's convening. She's also passionate about SEL. She has launched PACSEL, which is Pan-African Convening on Social and Emotional Learning. She launched it this year, and we said, let's partner with her. So we sent and sponsored 3 of our ambassadors to this conference. All right. And 3 of them are on this call, and they are speakers today. And one of them, I'm excited to pass the mic to her because she's going to be anchoring the next session. Her name is Miss Tolulokbe Joseph. Exceptional educator. I mean, when she speaks, she's exciting. She's a dear friend of mine. She's doing great and incredible work in the education sector. She has been around for a long time. She was part of the ambassadors, the very first batch in April. And so we're honored to have her this morning to lead the next session of panel. She's going to invite all the other 2 panelists who are also ambassadors of SEL. But let me just read Mr. Lokweju Joseph's profile. She's an education psychologist whose work sits within the learning science space with a focus on understanding how children learn, why they struggle, and what helps them to thrive academically and emotionally. With over a decade of experience working with learners across classroom and non-classroom settings, she supports schools in identifying learning gaps and designing child-centered learning support strategies. As our work has evolved, Tolu has become increasingly intentional about integrating social and emotional learning into education practice, recognizing its role in shaping students' motivation, self-regulation, confidence, and overall learning experience. As a trained SEL ambassador with the MarkWillows Foundation, she advocates for practical school-based approaches to SEL that complement teaching and strengthening learning outcomes. Tolu carries a deep understanding of everyday classroom realities and works alongside educators to build systems and support both learning that support both learning and emotional development. She's right now the head of academics at White Cotton School, and it's my joy to pass the mic to her. She introduces all the other guests who are going to be talking about SEL for school leaders. So if you're a school leader on this call, this is the session for you. SEL for school leaders. Over to you, Tolu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peace. Thank you. It's an honor and it's a delight to be here this morning. Happy National SEL Conference. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And honestly, I am already, I'm fired up already because I have listened to Mr. Oluwase Yanifowoshe and our dear keynote speaker, Mrs. Manti Umo. And it was so good. All of the things they said make sense. Something just came to my mind a few minutes ago, and I just feel like this whole SEL thing makes sense now because I remember that, or let me say, it occurred to me that really none of us do remember teachers who taught us English and mathematics so well. Like, we do not remember teachers because they taught us those subjects so well, but we remember those ones who make us feel good, not because they pampered us, but because they've left, a very good impact on us. So we usually do not remember that, oh, this teacher taught me chemistry so well. We may remember them briefly, but we remember better those ones who really touched our lives in a different way, in a very unique way. And that gives us a lot of context to this social and emotional learning framework. So I am excited to be doing this conversation with MarkWillows Foundation and my partners who are going to be joining me this morning in this conversation. And let me quickly reiterate something that Mr. Anifowoshe said, which is also one of the things that Mrs. Manti Umo said indirectly, which is he said that you are not just a teacher because of the subjects that you teach, but because you carry the ability, the capacity to impact and to influence change, to influence transformation. And that is the very reason why we are teachers, not just teachers, but school leaders, everyone who work in the education space. And that is why this conversation is very, very important. So joining me in this conversation this morning is my own dear friends, their team members, Stephen Colley and Fumilayo Ogo Baderi. So quickly, their I'll go through their bio. All right. For Fumilayo Ogo-Baderi, Fumilayo is an accomplished education consultant and school leader with over 20 years of classroom teaching experience and nearly a decade in educational leadership and consulting. She is the lead consultant at Radiance Plus Educational Resource and head of academics at Kings and Queens International School, Nasarawa, Nigeria, an SDG 4 advocate and certified Beyond Success facilitator with Equip Nigeria. Ugofumi is also an SEL ambassador under the MarkWillows Foundation and a strong proponent of tech-enhanced education. She holds degrees in computer science and educational management and is currently pursuing a postgraduate certificate in online learning and teaching at King's College London. In recognition of her impact, Ugofumi was honored as Edu Influencer of the Year 2020 and Edu Role Model Mentor in 2021 by the Iconic Brand Africa, formerly known as the Iconic Brand Award. So let us give it up for Fumilayo Ogo Baderi. Thank you so much for joining me on this call. Quickly, I'll go through Steven's
Thank you, Tolu,
bio
for having
as
me.
well. Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to have you. Stephen Tete Colley is a licensed counseling psychologist. Oh, I'm so excited at the sound of that. Holding an MPhil in guidance and counseling and a BSc in psychology with specialized certifications in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and mental health coach. He possesses extensive leadership experience as a school counselor, head of school, and behavior technician. He is recognized for his proactive, result-oriented approach and deep expertise in social and emotional learning. He's currently the principal and the head of school at Datos International College, Ghana. You're welcome, Stephen. It's good to have you here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes, I'm so
Yeah.
happy to have you around. So, yes, the conversation that we are having this morning is about SEL, social and emotional learning. Of course, we've heard a lot how teachers need to do better than just academics. Of course, as it has already been established that SEL is not even something that is standing in isolation. It is something that drives everything academic. When SEL is done rightly, then even academics fall in place. But we understand that all of these things about infusing and integrating SEL into the school system, into the school culture, cannot take shape if it doesn't come from the right source. So, what is this source we are talking about? It is the school leader, the school management. So, we know that for everything to work well, it has to come from the school leaders. So, we're looking at social and emotional learning from the school leader's perspective this morning. All right. And the first question we're going to be starting with is about how exactly do you model social and emotional learning in your school, in the education space that you belong to. I think Fumilayo Baderi can go first. How do you model SEL in your school?
All right. Thank you so much, Tolu. I'm so excited to be here this morning. Congratulations to MarkWillows Foundation for this year's annual National Social and Emotional Learning Conference. I'm excited not just to be a speaker, but particularly to be a participant, because anytime I attend such conferences, I do not live the same way. So having said that, thank you, Tolu, once again for that question. Yeah, the place of modeling can actually not be overemphasized. You can't give what you do not have. So for me, it starts from me knowing myself as an individual, my self-awareness. Being a school leader, you wear different caps to learners, to parents, to teachers, to vendors, to all stakeholders, even to government officials that come to the school. So I need to know myself. I need to understand. I need to know how to also manage myself because of the many caps we wear as school leaders, making decisions that has to be also data-driven decision, not just sentimental or emotional decision. So SEL comes to play because even in the face of stress, in the place of deadlines to be met, you need to compose yourself. Your teachers are seeing you and they're not seeing you crazy as it were. Your space, I manage my space. I do it with everything within me. I try to stay calm no matter, because I know that one of my stress trigger is that when my space is untidy. So if I have to even see 10 people in a day, I have a way of shutting up the other 9 and giving just the one person I'm dealing with at the moment my whole attention. SEL got me there. I didn't just get there. When we are having staff management meeting, there are conflict resolutions strategies that SEL has also helped me to embed as an individual. So I'm unruffled, I'm untouched, not because I was like that before, but because I have intentionally brought to book. I'm implementing the skills that SEL has exposed me to, and I am consistently and intentionally modeling it to everyone that matters in the education space. Thank you.
Wow,
Right.
wow. That's very, very fantastic. Thank you so much, Fumilayo. And that makes a lot of sense because when you talked about organization, that's something that triggers me as well. When my environment is not tidy, when it is disorganized, it sort of affects my mental my cognition. It affects my mental readiness to get things done. So, organization is one of the SEL skills that we teach, that we model so that people who work with us can also follow suit. Thank you very much, Fumilayo. So now I'm going to pass the mic to Stephen. How do you
Okay.
model in your space?
All right. Thank you very much. I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for being with my Willow Foundation for this first time being a speaker. And it's really an exciting moment for me. From my side and from my perspective, and greetings to everyone who is on this call. And we are grateful for you joining, and it's a privilege. For me, looking at modeling SEL, for me personally, being from the counseling perspective, I have positioned myself that SEL is not a therapy. I've taken that for me. SEL is not a therapy, but it's a life skill. So I have put it upon myself to all my campuses because I believe that people come to the campus, parents come, and for teachers and for students. So I have been able to model it in such a way based on these three key things. Know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself. So most importantly, my teachers, the students, they get to know me based on these three slogans. So every now and then when I see them misbehaving around, they get to know that, no, the principle is for know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself. And briefly, knowing yourself is just about how my other colleagues spoke about self-awareness. You being a teacher, you being a school leader, and teachers are, the reluctantness of certain teachers and some students' behavior. And your approach is consciously how you react to this situation. It shows how emotionally intelligent you are as a school leader. And then choosing yourself. When situations come, parent comes with a lot of issues, and you are able to learn how to improve decision making. A parent come, you are able to calm them down. Other stakeholders come, teachers come in your offices, you are able to calm them down. It's about choosing yourself, and giving yourself is connecting with purpose. I try to make my teachers aware, I try to make students aware, I try to let parents aware that we being school leaders, we connect based on purpose. So I looking at from the perspective of the fact that being a school leader, this is how I model SEL in my community and in my school. Thank you very much.
Tolu, are you still there? I think she's having a network issue. Tolu Joseph, are you there? That was excellent.
I think Tolu, Tolu has been on.
Yeah, we lost her there, by the way, but I can carry the conversation on. I like.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peace.
Yeah, can you hear me? Good.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, I like when we're able to contextualize SEL by providing specifics, and that is what we're already learning here right now. I mean, Stephen has given us the three slogan, and that is what you need to begin to do as a school leader. Create your own slogan that helps you to know how SEL operates in your school. Like these are if I want to, it's okay. We talked about self-awareness, self-management, self-regulation. What are the three things I can quickly just use to check myself, to remind myself, or to remind my colleagues, to remind the teachers, to remind the students? And that is what Stephen has done in terms of just being self-aware. Know yourself. And that is why the number one SES skill is self-awareness. If you don't know who you are and what you have, then you know that, look, there is nothing you can give. You can't give, like Fumilayo rightly said, you can't give what you don't have. And so it is you going on that journey. And so the first assignment, because I like to give assignments, my first career was as a teacher. The first assignment is go and do a self-audit. Who am I? What are my visions? What are my values? What are my goals? Then what are my passions? What am I excited about? All right. Then also write down what are my triggers? What are the things that affect me? What are the things that when they do this, if this child does this, if this teacher has not submitted a report quickly, then this thing offends me. If a parent responds a certain way, it affects me. What are those things? You want to write those things down. Many people, oftentimes, they have not taken time to actually sit down and reflect on these things. And so when something happens, it just impacts them. It just affects them. They begin to react, because one of the things you want to do is to respond, not react. We have to look yourself back. Don't worry, you're right here on the call, and we've been keeping the conversation going on. If you are okay, let me allow you to be able to speak right now. All right, go on. Let me back to you. All right. You can unmute now and speak. If you're speaking, we can't hear you, but you can unmute now and speak.
I am so sorry I got thrown
You're
out.
good.
Thank you
You're
so
good.
much
Let's
for
keep
holding the
going.
call.
Next question.
Thank you, Stephen. I heard all of the things you said. I know you said some other things when I was out, but I heard everything you said about you having a slogan about choosing yourself, knowing yourself and giving yourself. And one thing that you
Right.
said that stood out for me is about being able, one thing that I feel that you do so well is helping people to calm themselves down, calming their pressure. That is very, very important. And I can say that that is one thing that I ensure I do as well, because the team members that you have will be able to learn regulation from you only if they see you also lay the example, when they see you handle situations so well. So I try to ensure that that equally shows in my communication. So I communicate with empathy, with respect. That is something that should come from every school leader, being able to help people calm their pressure and also ensuring that we communicate with empathy and respect. When we do that, we have the mental ability to make the right decisions. We all know that when you do not handle pressure, when you do not handle emotion so well, you discover that you are likely to make the wrong decisions. You are likely to make the wrong decisions. But when empathy is in the picture, when respect, when patience is in the picture, then it all gets better. Better. Thank you so much, Steven. Thank you, Fumilayo. Now we're going to move to the next question, and that is about embedding cells. So let's talk about this. We have school leaders here who are listening to us, and we want to hear from you. How have you been infusing, or how have you been embedding SEL, into your school culture in our different, places of work? So let me go with Stephen now. I think we started with Fumilayo the other time. So Stephen,
Sure.
how have you
Sure.
been embedding SEL into the school culture?
All right. Thank you very much for this question. Anytime I hear about SEL, I get so excited because it's something that when I believe that you can't manage what you don't understand. You can't really manage what you don't understand. So embedding SEL, I see it as an intentionality where I open up to the space of my teachers, getting them aware. So at a point in time, I take the teachers through workshop to get to know what this XCL is all about. Because at the end of the day, they are the people who will be carrying it in the classroom. And then the student will begin to see them as an example. So looking at that concept, after the teachers carry all these things within the classroom sector, I make, in our setting, I ensure that every Wednesday, once a week, we have a whole 2-hour period where we all gather all the students, the whole school, we gather them together, and we teach concept of respect, we teach concept on responsibility, we teach concept on discipline, and we make it known to them that these are all components of SEL that we are trying to embed in them, not necessarily they come into class. So I treat it as a dedicated curriculum where we have put it on our timetable that once a week we have a section. So every student is aware that every Wednesday at our last period, we are all meeting. And I give tasks to teachers because of the workshop. Teachers also take certain components that they also come and do a presentation on. And it becomes so awful. Currently, we'll be running our community engagement SEL in a sub-village where our students are going to teach on a concept we all know in XEL, all learning is social and all learning is emotional. We are taking this ideology to the village where they don't really understand how to collaborate. They don't understand that learning is not necessarily about the book. It's all about the life skills they need to learn. We are taking this and we have modeled our children. We are taking them to the community. They are going to teach the community that all learning is social, all learning is emotional. So this is how we have come together as a school leader, having putting this in place to ensure that we embed SEL as a sole thing that we teach students and teach teachers as well. So this is what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. That sounds like, professional development, ensuring that teachers know what to do. If you're asking them to do something, about SEL, then you need to train them, about the concept. What are the things they need to do? If they do not know, they will not be able to do. So knowing first, ensuring that there are trainings available for them where they can learn the rudiments. Thank you very much. Let's move on to Fumilayo. How
Yeah.
have you been embedding SEL into the school system?
Thank you so much, Tolu. Thank you for that brilliant question. Okay, so for me, I'm actually, just like Stephen said, I'm actually really, really particular about SEL. Okay, so when I got exposed to this skill, before I got to got to know MarkWillows Foundation, and then when I now came under MarkWillows Foundation and was tutored by them, I said, no, every educator that is associated with me should actually have this training. So I do all within my power. I encourage, I give relevant information. As a matter of fact, I award silently, as it were. Our team members, I push them during the holidays. Like, I know MarkWillows Foundation, we do the conference twice in a year, probably maybe once now, April and August. I go all the way out. Mr. Peace is here. There are times that the deadlines are closed. I still go behind and I beg, like, I need my team members to get the skill, because I know that they will do better when they know better. I don't want them to see SEL as another educational jargons, as it were. And I also know that classroom teachers, we are a bit, because I have been a classroom teacher, and as a matter of fact, I love teaching, so it's something I still do. We do not like being over-labored, as it were. We do a lot in this hybrid setting that we are in, this VUCA world. And so anything that would give me an extra is a no-no. So what we do, I love what he does at his corner, but what we do is that we take SEL as an hidden curriculum. One, we verbalize it. I will explain. We don't treat learners as a piece of furniture. We attend to every learner. We don't walk past when they are talking. We give them audience. We stand to attend to a crying child, a child that came out of class, wants to go to the gents, or probably pressed, one of the convenience is full and another one, you understand? So we actually pay attention to details. A child that normally comes quite early and start coming late, a child that is always cheerful and all of a sudden becomes moody. So we have that hidden curriculum. We always tell ourselves, so even when all our staff, all my team members, not just in the school I head as the head of academics, but for schools that I also consult for, we let them know that children, learners as it were, shouldn't be treated as a piece of furniture. They are humans. They are emotional beings. When you are able to appeal to their emotions, show that you care, you understand, just like you said, Tolu, you can remember teachers that actually cared about you. Do you understand? So they will be able to do better. So another thing I do as a school leader, as an academic head, is that I encourage my teachers, my team as it were, my colleagues, I encourage them that for every topic you teach in science, in maths, in English, there is an SEL skill that can be imbibed. Either it is in critical thinking, in collaboration, the way you give group work, this decision making, whatever it is, stress management, even in assertiveness. Children, when they just enter a new class, they have that thing about, oh, SS1, I'll do chemistry, I'll do biology, I've not been doing this before. And I tell them, oh, this course is actually made for you. There are people that have done this and they have excelled in it. So, Tolu, I can go on and on and on as to how you can implement SEL as a school leader, but for want of time, I think I need to stop here. Thank you.
Honestly, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fumilayo. That was profound, very, very profound. You said something, when they know better, they will do better. Starting from that point of training, ensuring that every teacher is carried along. And that was the first thing I did when we started infusing SEL in my school as well. When we started infusing SEL, we started from the training. We needed to expose teachers to what this is exactly. And, that training now helped us to debunk the idea of it's an additional work. It is not an additional work. It is the foundation of everything that you need to achieve in academics. And, saying that the teachers should not treat students like piece of, wood. every child is an emotional being, and every adult around them must be careful as to how they handle them and how they treat them. Thank you very much. On my own end, also, aside from the training, I think another thing that I do, is to sort of bring up a policy that says that in every classroom there has to be emotion checking. It is very important because these
Mm.
students come into the classroom with a lot of emotions in the morning, and then a teacher walks into the classroom, and the first thing you want to do is to begin to dump English language and mathematics into the head of the child. No, we start from recognizing the emotion that the child has come to the class with. You recognizing and talking about it will sort of help the child to offload some emotions, so some emotional burdens. So that is the first thing that happens in our school, in our classrooms. All right. That is what, because that's a leadership thing. If we do not make it a policy, it is not going to happen in the classroom. So that is one thing that I do. Another thing that I do is ensuring that parents are carried along in this journey. And that is going to lead us into the third question, which is for me to ask you, Stephen and Fumilayo, how, I understand that aside from the work that the school is doing, the effort that the school is making on every child, I understand that the parental role is also very, very germane in the progress of every child. So how do we ensure that parents are brought into this journey? How do we ensure that they are carried along so that the effort can actually make sense? So let me start with Fumilayo this time around. How do you ensure that parents are brought into this journey?
Thank you so much, Tolu. Okay, so I just want to give this illustration, and I actually do it every time I talk to parents, particularly in July. You know why I said July? When the academic award comes, prize giving day, this and that. Do you understand? The emotions are always high. Some parents are like, my child don't get best in maths, they don't get best in science, not best in. So what I do intentionally, I talk to parents. Prize giving day, periodic award is beyond academics. We celebrate academic proficiency. No, we do. We laud it. But guess what? We have also started lauding character building. There's an award we gave. There's an award we gave that wowed parents in our last prize giving day. We called it the most cheerful greeter. Every learner in our school greets, but there are some that greet cheerfully. Like they stop and they're, Mrs. Baderi, good morning. Mrs. Okeke, good morning. And they see you again after break. And that was something that parents were like, oh, these people actually take knowledge of very, very, very little things. There's another one we did, kind helper. In every class, we awarded kind helpers. These are SEL skills that, like I said, what we promote is we hide it as a curriculum, but it is verbalized and it is shown in the way we behave. So I tell parents that look beyond your child's academic grades. Look at their psychomotor development. Look at other things they can do with their mental ability in sports, their sportsmanship, and every other thing. Now, I, as a parent, like I said, I model SEL. I, as a parent, I'll use my first daughter as an example. I'm an educator. You know the way it is about your child getting academic award, right? So let me shock you, Tolu.
Yeah.
My first daughter never got an academic award until in her primary six. But guess what? For every year, she has always had a character award. And that for me, because I am emotional intelligence, I'm literate. I'm not an illiterate when it comes to social and emotional learning. I celebrate it like you are as good as every other person that got an award. Although, yes, the year she got best in mathematics, I was like, oh my goodness, we finally got here. But guess what? That was not just a destination. We are still moving. I tell her, for those character awards, you do not let go of them. You need to keep improving on who you are. Because according to our keynote speaker, she said something, not what they do. It's not just about what people do or what they know, but it is about who they become, who you make learners become. So for parents, how we infuse SEL, how we let them know that there is something else your children gain in school, social skills, emotional skills. We tell them. We don't assume they know, and then we celebrate it. Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Fumilayo. That was very, very good. Communicating to the parents that there is more to life, there is more to achievement than just academics. That is very, very good. Thank you very much. So I pass the mic on to Stephen. How do you ensure that parents are brought into this journey? I'm not sure.
Stephen is
I think
frozen.
we lost I think we lost Stephen.
Yeah.
He's not in the room. So I'll just carry on if he's able to come, if he's able to join us later. So on my own end, SEL is something that we have become very intentional about. Very, very intentional. And one thing that we've been able to do in order to bring parents into this whole, space of SEL is to, what we did is that we discovered that there is a lot to tell the parents. There is a lot to help them understand, especially in terms of moving from negativity when it comes to training their children, in terms of moving from negativity to positivity, helping them adopt the right language to use in every situation. So what we did is that we did a publication. We did it in the form of book, and that book is very rich, where we gave examples, wide examples of the languages that they can use in every situation, so that in a situation like this, instead of you shutting the child up, instead of you shouting on the child, instead of you saying, oh, you've made this mistake, you're good for nothing, all of those things were dealt with in that book, because we felt like, no, this is something that requires the input of the parents. If we continue to do our own job, at the school, it is going to be a failure if the children get back home to parents who do not understand SEL. If they go back home to parents who do not know how to handle their emotion. So the book communicated how parents can help their children to regulate emotion, to develop empathy, to build that resilience, at doing things, and several other SEL skills like that. So that is one thing we're doing differently. And I remember something very
Fantastic.
profound we did at our last open day. I discovered that, oh yes, we've always been having open day. And then an idea came to my mind that we've been doing emotion check-ins in the classrooms. We've been asking pupils, how do you feel? How do we feel? How do you feel? And then I feel like when these parents come as well for open day, it's not going to be a bad idea to ask them how they feel. Because
Sure.
when parents come for open day, they are coming with that. Some are coming with anger. They want to come and, unleash. They want to come and talk about how they feel. So the first thing we kissed them with was, oh, hello, mom. Hello, sir. Good morning. How are you doing today? In fact, we had list of emotions for them to tick. This is how I feel this morning. And they were
Wow.
very honest with it.
Oh, I'm learning that.
That sort of changed the whole thing for them. And it was very, very, productive for us as well. That was very fantastic. I don't know if Steven is back in the
Not.
room.
Yeah.
If not, all right. If not, I'm just going to wrap this up by saying that SEL is not a conversation that we can do away with in education. It's something that has come to stay. It is the very foundation of academic excellence. If we are going to have children who are excelling academically, then we also need to begin to build them up with social and emotional learning skills. It is those skills that will boost their cognitive ability. It is those skills that will enrich their readiness, their motivation for learning. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of this fireside chat session. Thank you for the opportunity, MarkWillows Foundation. Thank you, Mr. Peace.
Amazing.
And a big thank you to my colleagues, Stephen and Fumilayo. Thank you so much for joining.
Excellently done. I believe you all learned quite a lot from that. Thank you so much, Tolu. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Fumilayo. I'm proud of these ambassadors. They are doing exceptional work. They've taken it way beyond what we have taught them in terms of how to embed SEL. They are championing SEL in their communities, and we're just so proud and excited about their work. Now, because of time, we had to move on very quickly, and we're way behind time, but I'm excited to also invite another batch of ambassadors. First off is Martha. Martha is also an exceptional ambassador of ours, and she has been championing SEL in our community. She's going to lead this conversation with two other ambassadors. And the title of the conversation is SEL for Teachers. Martha is a visionary educator. She serves right now as the Assistant Chief Education Officer with the Lagos State Government. She's an ambassador and a teen counselor. She's trained over 2,000 teachers. She has, gained recognition from the Ban Ki-moon Foundation. She's the founder of Just Look Limited. I can go on and on. But I will pass the mic on to her now. She introduces the other two speakers, and they will examine the concept of SEL for teachers. Now that we have tackled the school leaders, what is the role of teachers' responsibility? What is their responsibility in advancing and embedding SEL? Over to you, Martha.
Hello, everyone. I just want to confirm, can you hear me, sir?
Very well. You're good to go.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the location that you are at the moment. And thank you very much to the ambassadors who just, charged us up in the just concluded fireside chat. So before we move on, I will be quickly checking the chat box. I would want all the educators on this call this afternoon to briefly use the chat box to respond to this question. So I want to know if you've ever taught a student who, is academically brilliant, but completely fails, he or she falls apart when faced with challenges. If you have ever seen any student faced with challenges despite being academically sound. If you have, I will be on the chat box to look out for your response. Just type yes in the chat box. If you've seen students who are, academically brilliant, but then, thank you, Adiola, Deborah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Abiola. Thank you so much for being Madam Tolu Joseph. Thank you, Amaka. All right. Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much, everyone. I see your responses. So without wasting time, we move straight into today's fireside chat, this session. And so I'm going to be inviting Dr. Joel and reading out his bio now. Dr. Joel is joining from Equatorial Guinea, a leader who has navigated diverse curricula and is a champion for teacher effectiveness. He is a seasoned educator with 15 years plus of experience, and he is a certified leadership coach, a career counselor, social and emotional learning advocate, and he has implemented SEL across leading schools in Lagos and beyond. And he's the principal consultant at the Educator Mindset Institute. Please make welcome Dr. Joel Olaniyan. Thank you for joining us. So I will also invite the
Thank you very much,
Mr. Emmanuel Hackman. Mr. Emmanuel Hackman is a seasoned social and emotional learning ambassador here in Nigeria. One thing that stands Mr. Emmanuel Hackman out is that he works majorly in the public health sector, as he's a public health researcher and also an educator based in Lagos. He has a master's degree in public health from the University of Lagos. And he has dealt in diverse areas on social and emotional learning and public health. He's passionate about advancing learning, wellness, and human development. Please make welcome Mr. Emmanuel Hackman. Thank you so much to the two speakers that we have today.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And audience, we want to assure you that you're going to enjoy this session. So please listen up and ensure that you also use the chat box to contribute as we go on. All right, so Dr. Joel Olaniyan, I'll be going straight into asking you a question. So I understood that you are from Equatorial Guinea, that's where you work, and across Equatorial Guinea and Africa, teachers face diverse pressure of high national standards and, dynamic classroom settings. We have some classroom settings that are populated, overpopulated. So practically, what is one micro habit of SEL as a teacher that you feel that when a teacher finds himself in a chaotic environment, the SEL value he or she can use to reduce his or her own stress before they respond to student stress? Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to be sure you can hear me. Good afternoon from here. Yeah, thank you. This is Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. We actually share the same time zone with Nigeria. And before I address your question directly, please permit me to say that Equatorial Guinea is witnessing a profound awakening in the way of education, looking at the classroom for decades now, in the past decade, we've been having the traditional approach, which was characterized by a top-down kind of hierarchy where the teacher is the almighty, if you understand what I'm saying, a transmitter of knowledge, and the student was like a recipient. So in such a scenario, it was very difficult to be able to apply emotional learning, that is SEL, in the classroom. But today, Equatorial Guinea is transiting to a modern pedagogical framework, which recognizes that education is a social process. So that shift is not about technology, where let me say that bringing XCL, the new approach in Malabo, is like a plate where you eat the food. You know, if you have a sumptuous meal and then all of a sudden after cooking, you just pour the food on the floor and you start eating from the floor, is as bad as not even cooking the food at all. So SEL is the plate upon which the sumptuous meal sits on. That is the behavioral part, the emotional part, how it affects the students. Now, linking that to the question I am asked, the high pressure environment of a typical classroom, an African classroom, can be a bit overwhelming, right? We have the national standards when they are rigid and the student dynamics are not being studied. It could be very, very difficult for somebody to adjust. So to be able to stand in as an SEL teacher, I usually apply the threshold method, the threshold pause. We call it the threshold pause. This is a situation whereby I always keep calm. I always apply the 5-second rule of silence. You know, when you come to a classroom that is rowdy, different background of students, you don't know what has happened at home, and then the class is so loud. Then when you appear at the classroom, you stand by the door, you just pause for 5 seconds. Instead of coming in, all of you keep quiet. Don't you know I'm around? You keep quiet for 5 seconds. They don't see that usual teacher that comes to shout at them. They see a teacher that gives them time to calm down. So that threshold pause has helped me. And this has linked me to a number of students that I have been able to speak to one-on-one, which has also improved their behavior and even their academic results. One of them is Sarah. Sarah is a student who is feeling, she wants her voice to be heard, but at the same time, she's intimidated by maybe the surrounding or the peers. And when she saw that I'm someone she can talk to, she always talked to me. And I always tell her, Sarah, you have the ability to do better. You have the ability to impose yourself, to have your own will, to be strong enough. And today, Sarah is doing very well when it comes to confidence, as she has increased. This is someone that was not even speaking English by the time I joined that school. But now Sarah is expressing herself considerably well. So using SEL as a driving lens, we see that social awareness and relationship building, relationship skill, is one of the competencies that a teacher, that I myself have used, and that is working well. I have a couple of students I will have mentioned, but for the sake of time. So I would say, in wrapping up this question, that in the heat of a chaotic moment, before responding to a disruptive environment or student, we should pause, self-manage ourselves, and then the self-awareness competence that we have as SEL tutors will help us to navigate that situation and bring out the best out of it for the productive classroom. Thank you very much.
Dr. Joel, that resonated so well with me because as a teacher, teaching in an environment where we have populated classroom, you know, and sometimes when I come into the classroom and I just fold my hands and I observe, they keep quiet because that communicates so much. So as teachers on this call, we need to pick out, the method that would best work for the classroom settings that we are working with, so that students would learn either to take a pause and then use the pause moment, or even know how to control their emotions going forward. Now I will move to Mr. Emmanuel. So Mr. Emmanuel, let's talk about the curriculum in Nigeria. Many Nigerian teachers believe that, SEL is a time stealer. It's more like an extra burden when we have already the curriculum that is jam-packed. So how can a subject teacher seamlessly, embed SEL skills like, e.g. ethical judgment, collaboration into their 40 minutes lesson without sacrificing the academic content?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
All right. Thank you, MarkWillows Foundation. It's a pleasure and honor to be here to talk about something I like very much. So to answer the question, concerning the curriculum, a teacher, let's say Mr. Peace is entering into the classroom, and let's be honest, the Nigerian context is a bit almost anywhere in the world. Teachers are overwhelmed, they are easily burnt out. The students too get tired. So if a teacher enters the class, the first way to embed a CL is to have a control of the class. That's the class management. So I get into the class, maybe the students are tired. I can tell them to stand up, stretch for 1 or 2 minutes. That way I've engaged with everyone in the class before I start my teaching. I have control of the class. I can tell them to even sing a song for 30 seconds. If you're happy, and that way the children are aware that I'm concerned about them. Then now, to the teaching itself. So let's say we are doing maths in class and I put something on the board and I ask Joel, okay, come and solve this. And Joel does it. And Joel gets it wrong. So instead of necessarily telling Joel is wrong, I could say telling him it's wrong could affect his confidence. So I could just tell Joel, so let's walk through your thinking. We go through the steps of how he solved the question. And along the way, he realized that he didn't follow the steps actually. That way, Joel next time won't be afraid of participating in class and he's still more eager to solve those questions. That's one way, like in maths. Now let's look at, let's say I'm a government teacher and I'm taking democracy or civil. And so instead of just lecturing, one other way is to put the children into groups and let them debate. It could be on, let's say, unemployment, protesting. What this does is when you put the children in group, they they learn perspective taking. So they listen to conversations from their colleagues, they learn to collaborate, they gain skills from themselves. And during the debates, it brings about this respectful disagreement. So 1 + 8 is 9 and 7 + 2 is also 9. So I have my view, you have your view. So we just agree to disagree. During the debate, we get to see that my opinions are correct, so are Tolu's opinions, and I learn to respect our opinions during those debates. So during those kind of subjects, teacher can teach those indispensable skills that will be necessary for tomorrow's future. We could also have reflection prompts, like during a class. You ask a question that helps the children become a bit self-aware about who they are. Another one we could be during the English exam. So you have comprehension question that are asking questions, maybe a comprehension passage that has to do with adaptability, critical thinking, or filling the box. So while reading these passages, it's helping the children think. They are questioning themselves and it's helping them develop. Okay, let me think of which other one again. So depending on the teacher and depending on the subject, but the teacher, one thing I want to say is, as a teacher, you will not rise beyond the needs of your students. So you get creative. You do not need to, you're not adding too much, but basically it makes you a bit more intentional. So another way could be, let's say I'm taking statistics. At the beginning of the class, the learning objectives are stated. I could also state the SEL objectives. Let's say I'm teaching data collection. One of the important things about data collection is fairness. If you collect the accurate data, because that data will be used to make responsible and caring decisions, the impacts of the decisions will be based on the data. So the students learn that fairness is also part, that's the excellent objective for data collection, while data collection itself has its own learning objectives. So you can come into the class with learning objectives and also excellent objectives. The students are aware that, oh, we learn fairness in statistics. Wow, that's important. We learn responsible decision making. Wow, that's important. So those are the few ways we can embed SEL into our class without necessarily expanding the time. Because I know we're already burned out already. We are overworked, we are underpaid. So if we are being fair, it might look hard, but I think because we care about the students, we'll be able to balance it and we'll be more intentional about teaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. So that was spot on. I like the fact that you said without us necessarily, creating a different curriculum for her, we can always embed it into whatever we teach. And I like the fact when you mentioned that for collecting data, we could infuse what is called fairness, in a way we are putting in the SEL skills in it. Thank you very much. Because of our time, we would be asking you, Dr. Emmanuel, Dr. Joel, this one question, and I want you to, within the next 1 minute, answer the question. And I also ask Mr. Emmanuel, so please, I want you to pay attention. All right, so we have this group of students in SS3 trying to, they wrote their mock in preparation for their exams, their final exams. And so because we know that Dr. Joel is from Equatorial Guinea and Mr. Emmanuel is from Nigeria, of course, each country has terminal exams students would write. But mock exams, which was written, is prior to the terminal exams. And this set of students failed and they became devastated. Some of them were crying and they tell you, maybe they approach you and they tell you, sir, I'm done. I don't want to do anything again. I don't want to study again. I'm not good enough because, I failed. So you as a practitioner, as an SEL practitioner, Dr. Joel, in 1 minute, how would you answer this question in terms of how we have failed the students as a teacher?
Do you mean how we have failed the students?
Yes, please.
Or how
Yes.
to redirect the student?
Yes. How do you think we as teachers failed the students? If yes, how do you think we failed the students?
Okay. With SEL, there is no failure. In fact, we've heard it earlier on from the award-winning teacher, Mr. Anifowoshe, that failure is what? It's a positive vibe. It's a positive feedback. Failure is part of success. So as an SEL teacher, seeing my students, failing at a mock exam, it's a mock exam, by the way, and seeing that exam, it's for us to have a feedback of how ready such a student is for the main exam. So traditionally, actually, we can say we failed the student by confirming their worst fear. That is, the child is now feeling bad. Then in a traditional way, the traditional classroom or a teacher without SEL will now aggravate the situation. You see, I've been telling you to read. You did not read. I'm telling you to keep quiet in class. You were not keeping quiet. Kind of adding fire to the whole thing. And that will aggravate the situation. In that way, that teacher is failing, has failed already. Is failing that child. Strictly, cognitively speaking, the child brain or mentality is down. But let's look at it this way. With an SEL driven response, we can turn that into a lesson of resilience. We can use restorative affirmation and reframing, telling the child how smart he or she is, and even mentioning some of the instances in class where she answered some questions positively, correctly, where she took leadership role in group work and collaborative tasks, that there is still hope for that student to make it. In fact, this is while I was in Nigeria, not in Equatorial Guinea, when I was heading a school somewhere in satellite town Lagos. We had a student that really was, demotivated and have this low self-esteem. But with more encouragement and assertiveness, making daily confession and working towards it, could you believe a student that entered that we admitted with a less than 30% score, without any manipulative or manipulative method, or what do they call it now, exam malpractice. This child made the 5 credits, including maths and English, at the sitting of WAEC. So what does this tell us? That SEL, like I earlier said, is the plate upon which all other things are sitting on. If the child has the right frame of mind, has the right motivation, no matter the level of feedback or the failure recorded at a mock exam, the child can bounce back and definitely make themselves and their parent proud.
Thank you so much. Well, I love that practical application. All right, so going to you, Mr. Emmanuel, I know that you usually use storytelling to unpack, teaching of SEL in classroom. All right, so how would you be able to, to attest to this question as educators? What do you think we need to do better when introducing the students to SEL in the classroom using the power of storytelling that I know you do well?
Good afternoon again. So according to the World Bank, Nigeria has one of the youngest populations in the world. So 60% of our population are below 25 years. So basically, those people are in the classroom currently. So how they handle failure in the class might affect how they handle setback in the workplace or conflict resolutions in the community. So when we look at the theme for this year, which was skills for career and skills for the community, how does storytelling comes in? So let me look at, I remember Lion King, Simba, the Lion King story, when he was talking to his daughter, and that song, We Are One, comes up, and the songs talked about change, that as you go through life, you see there is so much that we don't understand. And the only thing we know is that things don't always go according to plan. So whether you fail at school, or there's a setback at work, or there's a negotiation go wrong, things somehow sometimes don't go according to plan. But the only thing we know is through collaboration, through re-strategizing, we can always get back and solve our problems. So in preparing these children for a world that is always changing, we can't give them just knowledge alone. We can adapt, they can learn to adapt, learn to try again. So studies in prisons have shown that if prisoners were taught SEL in school, they would probably not have gotten into prison, because they would have handled that conflict a lot more better and wouldn't have killed someone. They would have been able to negotiate their ways out of situations and not use their fists. So to be clear, SEL strengthens education and SEL shapes national development. So I just want to add that SEL aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals given by the United Nations to help both develop and developed countries in their environment, economy, and society. SEL aligns with SDG 3, which is good health and well-being, quality education, because we are producing emotionally resilient students for a better world, economic gain and growth, how these students become creative in the workplace and they're able to solve problems. They think outside the box, because they've been introduced into what-if situations. Their teachers encourage them. So that way, we are creating global citizens who don't just feel for themselves, but feel for everyone at large. Thank you very much.
You're muted, Martha, as we wrap up. You're muted, Martha, if you're speaking.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Joel and Mr. Emmanuel. As we wrap up, I want all the educators on this call to please use the chat box to tell us what you would do differently. Starting from Monday morning, we've heard several things from all the speakers of today. So your final word, what mandates would you take into your the classroom as you go to class on Monday? I would look out for your comments on the chat box, and I would like to hand over to Chief Coach, Mr. Peace Bamidele, and thank you so much for the opportunity to do this. All right, thank you, everyone.
Excellently done. Excellently done. Can we celebrate them? I mean, these are ambassadors who are taking SEL to the world. All right. And we're just so excited. We're proud of them. We love the energy. We love the passion. We love the knowledge that they keep building on. They keep advancing their knowledge. And so we celebrate you. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Emmanuel. There's so much more they could have said, but one of time. I mean, we've been here almost 3 hours now, and there's still two more sessions we have to cover, and that's why we have to keep going. Otherwise, we won't end. We won't stop here. We won't leave here today. And so, with that, I want to invite our next speaker. We have talked about SEL for school leaders. We've talked about SEL for teachers. How does this translate to the workplace? All right, because we should be preparing teachers, students for the workplace. All right. It is not just about being in the classroom. These skills should be translatable. They should be transferable into the workplace. And so we have this short fireside chat. With these two people are very busy people. They have a lot going on. And so please celebrate them in the chat room. Of course, the host or the anchor of this session is my dear friend, Miss Olayinka Adebayo, who together we actually conduct the SEL Ambassadors Project. She takes the financial literacy because she's a financial literacy expert. And so I do the SEL part. Together, we have been on this journey together for a long time. And she's going to be hosting. I mean, she's in the corporate. She's not a teacher. She's not an educator. She's in the corporate sector. But she's passionate about education. Together with another good friend of mine, Mr. Dami Ogutunde, who in 2020, we toured different schools to teach SEL, different communities, different schools. In founding the foundation, he has been a good supporter, a good champion, and a good advocate. But now he's in the workspace, big player, the CEO, co-founder. But let me not say anymore. I will pass it on now to our host for this session, Ms. Olayinka Adebayo, who is going to be engaging Mr. Dami Ogutunde on SEL for the workplace. Miss Olayinka, over to you. If you're in the room right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I trust it's been a very valuable session so far. Good to see you again, Mr. Peace. And of course, good to see a lot of the participants from previous sessions, training sessions also on the call. So I know time is fast spent, but this is going to be a very, very insightful, profoundly insightful session. Allow me whet your appetite, because in 15 minutes or 20 minutes thereabouts, the roofs will be off, literally. So let me start with introducing the speaker, the person I'm going to be engaging today. His name is Mr. Damilola Oguntunde. Mr. Damilola Oguntunde is a Nigerian edtech entrepreneur. He's an executive coach, and he serves as the senior pastor of the PowerPoint Tribe. Shall I also say that that's the church I so proudly attend? So I'm one of his he's my shepherd. He's my pastor. He's the co-founder and chief executive officer of RD Business School. RD Business School is an interactive online platform that gamifies higher education and makes learning more accessible and value-driven in Africa. It facilitates modules on personal effectiveness strategy, leadership development, specifically within the school's flagship business leadership executive program. Under his leadership, the school secured support from the MasterCard Foundation and co-creation of CC Hub to expand its reach across sub-Saharan Africa. He holds an executive MBA from the Quantic School of Business and Technology and is a frequent speaker on leadership and growth. And he has authored several books, including Love Math, Pauline Prayers, and Beautiful Scars. Everyone, please help me make welcome Mr. Damilola Oguntunde. Very happy to have you and to be anchoring a session with you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Olayinka. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. So good to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Amazing. So, Mr. Dami, we've been hearing conversations around, what SEL looks like, in the education industry, in the classrooms, with education professionals, with teachers, and with students. And really, we want to shift the conversation into the workplace. So, and sort of give teachers insights on how they can start to train students differently to prepare them for the eventual outcomes where they're going to start to use practically these SEL skills, which is one of which is the workplace. So, from your perspective, right, what social and emotional competencies do you think are most lacking when professionals enter the workplace? So, and where do you think the disconnect is happening in our education pipeline? And really, also, what is the business cost of the lack of the SEL skills in the workplace? It's quite a mouthful. So,
Interesting. Honestly, super excited to be here. And like Mr. P said, I'm a major stakeholder with MarkWillows pretty much on everything that they've been doing from the very outset. And I'm really proud of the scope, the expansion, and the reach that they're having in building more aware educators and teachers across the globe. So once again, my privilege and honor to be here. Thank you so much, Mr. Peace, for the privilege. All right. So the question, like you said, is a mouthful, but I'd like to also start by providing a bit of context to the power of education and the work we're doing as those on this call, and of course, by extension, every educator around the world. Just yesterday, interestingly, there's this man I always talk about with so much glowing admiration. That's Balo. Now, this man in my secondary school, I would say is probably the one responsible for a lot of the things that I have become as a person today. Now, he was not a corporate executive, he was not a CEO, he was not a founder, he was not an entrepreneur. He was just a math teacher. Yesterday, he turned 65, and people across the world that he had touched, that he had been a blessing to, they gathered in Ibadan and they celebrated him and they honored him. Just about 4 years ago, about 3.5 years ago, I took it upon myself as well to be sending something specifically to him every December as I was instructed because I felt so indebted to him as a person because of the weight of contribution. Now, the reason why I feel so indebted to him was not because he taught math so eloquently and so brilliantly. That was not the only reason. The reason why I feel indebted to him and several other thousands around the world feel indebted to that man is because of the quality of impact that he had upon our lives beyond the theoretical academic environment. This man lived a certain way. He communicated his life to us. He poured out himself. He represented to us an ideal person beyond the four walls of a classroom. And what we really need to also understand as educators is that we are the we're the biggest producers and promoters of every corporate executive out there, of every industry. Every industry needs workers. Every worker went to school to learn that skill. Some teacher taught him that particular thing that he's using in the corporate environment, or in the factory, or in the manufacturing environment as well. My point is that nobody can avoid us. We are unavoidable in the value chain of life. We are unavoidable. And the kind of impacts that we make on these very, should I say, nascent minds, very naive minds that are being exposed to us, the kind of interactions we have with them, beyond the actual technical things we're teaching them in class, the quality of interaction, the kind of impact we're having on them, it goes a long way in transforming the quality of people that they will eventually become. I remember also another teacher in primary school who took every single opportunity to insult me, to malign me whenever, they needed to ask questions that, everyone was in class. She would deliberately increase the complexity of the questions she would, ask me, knowing fully well I was going to fail, so that when I failed, then she hauled out all of those insults at me and all of that. And I'll tell my mom, and my mom, being a teacher herself, will then use her words to build my esteem and build my sense of dignity, in spite of how another teacher was trying to erode that same sense of self-esteem. My point is, as teachers, our role is huge. It is huge beyond the academic theories. We need to start impacting people in a more profound ways that their future will thank them for. Now, in the corporate environment, I see all kinds of things. And I really believe that one of the reasons why people feel very underskilled in handling the complexity and the challenges in the workplace is because the school system, the educational system, as great as it is, has not been equipped enough to fund them with the right skill sets, soft skills, ideas, mindset, awareness to thrive in an industry. A little bit of perspective as well with respect to the nature of education. Education sort of was designed to catch up with industry. That is, it was industry that necessitated education. So things were moving on in the first industrial revolution, the steam engine, a lot of manufacturing going on. We needed skilled workers to, to run into all of those manufacturing, outfits and begin to mass produce things. And so we needed to create some curriculum that can help impact some of these technical skills in the minds of workers, and then they will be enrolled and employed in the industry. And that was how pretty much every career evolved. So it was almost as though the emergence of that industry sort of necessitates the research-based dimension of the academic space to then fund more of the progress in the industry. And so education is sort of designed to catch up. And that is why you notice that right now there's still a lot of courses taken in the university campuses, which industry has recognized to be redundant, but the educational system is yet to catch up with the redundancy of those courses in the industry. So after a while, very soon now, you start seeing all manner of courses around AI, machine learning, cybersecurity as mainstream courses done in university campuses to reflect the evolution that is already ongoing in the industry. So that gives you perspective on how, to a large extent, if all you are checking is curriculums and the research papers, you are already behind schedule. You are not really equipping your students and your pupils in the way that they need to be equipped in order to be effective in the real world of work, because you are training them for the world of work. And so there is SEL. SEL is the surest way to undergird everything that you're doing that is technical, that is academic. You must undergird it with SEL, because at the very, very least, no matter the evolution in the industry, AI, as impactful as it is, cannot be more human than human. AI cannot beat human beings at being human. And so at the end of the day, no matter how much evolution goes on with AI and the artificial intelligence and machine learning and nanotechnology and all these incredible technological advancements, there will be a deficiency inadvertently, which is the deficiency of humanity. AI is not human, and you are human. You have the emotional impulses, the emotional cues. That is what you're supposed to help aid your students with, impact them with confidence, adaptability, resilience, collaboration, emotional intelligence, personal effectiveness. These social and emotional learning concepts are extremely critical. Somebody can be technically savvy, brilliant academically, and fall like a pack of cards under the weight of the pressure that comes with industry, everyday life, because he was not trained to be resilient. And there is nowhere you see resilience as part of the curriculum of the semester. But they can learn resilience by listening to a particular teacher that communicates life stories, they share experiences, give tasks that are more life applicable beyond just passing an exam. And so you need to broaden your horizon beyond the curriculum that you're teaching every day to impact the lives of your students in a way that they will never recover from having you as their teacher. I will stop there because of the brevity of time, but I hope I've been able to at least touch on
Yes.
the response to the question.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, you have. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I just want, if I may just capture some of the things you said and just a recap. The first thing, one of the things that stood out to me is that the quality of the impact of teachers goes beyond the subject they teach, and it contributes really to the success of their students in the workplace. And the second is, which was very powerful, which teachers really need to hear more of this, is that the education industry is actually the largest contributor to national development and prosperity. When we're talking about contributing to the workforce and the competency of the workforce. And as you were also saying, that education ideally curates the workforce that society needs for the future of work. So teachers really need to, SEL becomes a very important conversation beyond the technical subjects, that teachers teach to prepare people for the future and the future of work. Thank you so much for those insights, sir. So the next question is that in your experienced training professionals, and you've done this across different organizations for different years, different competencies, different fields. In your experienced training professionals, which SEL competencies most strongly predict long-term career success beyond technical skills or academic achievements?
Brilliant question. So the first one is, I'll put it together like a bundle: resilience, adaptability, and change management. Resilience, adaptability, and change management as one bundle, right? And I think it sits at number one. Number two will be, in my opinion, emotional intelligence. And number three will be critical thinking, right? So in that order. Now, resilience, adaptability, and change management, because what we know is the past. The idea of data is very historical. And the whole objective of data is for projections. So the reason why we master data of the past is so that we can use that data to create some sort of trends and projections based on where we sit. However, we have always observed that none of the projections of the past about the future ultimately hit the bull's eye in terms of accuracy. Because the future, no matter how much data you have of the past, you can't effectively, accurately predict the future. Now, what does that tell you? That means whatever it is you prepared for in the past, you may be faced with a reality in the future that is not consistent with what you were prepared with the tools you were given. And that's the whole idea of the evolutions, the industrial revolutions and evolutions. How that we are right now in the middle of another industrial revolution. And you would notice that the distances between each industrial revolution begins to thin out over time, because the rate at which technologies are just being thrown out there is just a lot. It's at an alarming speed. All right. And AI is taking up pretty much every industry. And we know, of course, the only industry it cannot take up is the industry of humanity, because it cannot be human at the very least. So my point is, adaptability, resilience, and change management is the only thing that guarantees that in whatever world that the world emerges into, you have the most fundamental skill set to become whatever you need to become in that world, so that you can still be relevant in that world. And so technical skills, as great as they are, they have an expiry date because of the massive acceleration of technical advancements. And so it's just a matter of AI looking in your direction and replacing you, so that it can give its shareholders more return on investment, because one less person to pay in the payroll and a lot more shareholder equity and a lot more return on investment, a lot more earnings. And so, and that will constantly continue to evolve. And so, what guarantees that you will have a future in any industry is your ability to pick up new skills and learn it quickly, and also be able to speak to the humanity of humans, because that is one thing AI will not be able to effectively solve for. And so, resilience, adaptability, and change management is extremely important. Number two is emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize the emotions of others and the emotions of yourself as well, self-awareness, social awareness, and the ability to self-regulate, and then, of course, also regulate the emotions of others. Because I've also observed that when people are not well trained in these SEL skills, emotional intelligence and critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, adaptability, what happens is that even if they are smart, they create inadvertently dysfunctional teams. And dysfunctional teams ultimately affect the results of businesses. Every business is set up to make profit. And in order to make profit, you have to be able to harmonize all your resources, human resources, financial resources, in a certain direction so you can achieve a specific target. The more wasted efforts you have in your organization, the less likely you're going to be able to achieve the objective of making profit. So you need a team that is motivated, a team that is accountable, and a team that is innovative. So these three things are pretty much things that every business needs their team members to have. You need the right type of motivation. You need the right type of accountability, because you can't just be creative without being accountable. But you also need people that are innovative. And these skills, they seem to be mutually exclusive. Like when you find creative people, you tend not to find a lot of accountability with them. When you find accountable people, they don't tend to they're not very creative people, because they just go by the books all the time. In order to harmonize these three qualities and make your and inspire your team members to achieve the right kind of results for your own business, you definitely need a level of emotional intelligence that can help them get motivated at the right degree without breaking them, but also accountable and innovative at the same time. So leaders are charged with such a huge responsibility in the workplace to get all their staff moving in the same direction, motivated, accountable, creative, innovative, all at the same time. It takes an emotionally intelligent leader to achieve that in any group of people. No matter how smart you are, you can only optimize your own desk. But in order to optimize the desks of several people, you need leadership qualities like emotional intelligence to achieve that. And then number three, critical thinking. Critical thinking because that's the only way you get to solve problems. That's the only way you get to think long term about the potential issues that could come out of any type of problem, and whatever the stage or phase of that problem is, and think that far ahead to create solutions today that will constantly still be in use and constantly keep providing value in the long term. Because the less critical thinking is involved in providing solutions, the quicker the turnaround time you need to start again from the beginning, to start creating another
Yeah.
solution for the same problem that was solved a couple of years ago, because there was not enough long-term thinking and critical thinking involved at the solution creation phase. And so those three skills, in my opinion, are so important to have in the workplace, and especially for the future of work.
Really good. Thank you so much for sharing so profoundly. For time, because of time, I won't be able to go into our other questions. But if there's anything we know about SEL, is we can trust SEL to inculcate these different traits and these different attributes and qualities in every student, in every student, or in every student or every young person that educators engage. And this is also me just saying that come this August, there's going to be another SEL training. So if you are wondering how you inculcate all these qualities in your students, how to take a step, because that was going to be my next question. But I think, Mr. Peace does a very good job every year to teach teachers how to inculcate these qualities in their students and prepare them, for the future of work. Thank you so much, Mr. Dame. This has been a profoundly insightful session. We've learned a lot. I would have loved to recap much of what you said, but for time, we'd have to round it off here. Thank you so much, sir. You can please let's drop, say thank you to Mr. Dami for the profound session, and also drop what we learned as well in the chat room.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
Can you celebrate my two good friends, my two great friends, brilliant minds? Thank you so much. I love you, sir. That was dexterously delivered. As always, we expect no less from you, sir. Really, the honor. I mean, this has been a journey. I remember when we went to one school and we were training them on emotional intelligence. I still saw the picture. I said, look at this. It pays to invest all the energy, because you don't know what is there in the future along the line. And now you're doing this for many executives around the continent. We celebrate you. Thank you for providing us with these rich insights for us to know that what we are doing in the classroom and what we're doing in the school, there is value in it in the workplace, in the market. These are skills that are valuable. So I'm not just teaching these things because, it's fun to know. No, it is nice to know, it's nice to have, but it's also important and relevant. Thank you so much, sir, for that. God bless you. We'll talk soon. I'm sure we're going to bring you back very soon to the conference, because there's so much sites more.
I look forward. I look forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me. God bless you.
You too, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. With that, we are way past time. I know ordinarily we're supposed to be rounding off right now, but we have a special treat for schools. If you are here on this call, this is not the time for you to run away. We have a special treat for schools. And I mean, it's my honor to invite a dear, I've called everybody dear friend, dear colleague, dear this, but this is my dear sister. And she is a researcher. She's a psychologist and a doctoral researcher specialized in emotional development, well-being, and developmental psychopathology across childhood and adolescence. She holds a BSc and MSc in psychology from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, and an MPhil from Utrecht University, Netherlands, pursuing a doctoral training. I can go on and on about her profile, but because of time, I'm going to pass it on to her. She has a project presentation for you all and an opportunity for schools in Lagos I'm going to post a link shortly after our presentation that you can take advantage of, but I'm going to stop sharing now because she wants to present very brief presentation, but also the opportunity for schools to take advantage. Please have a listen to this. All right.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Peace and the MarkWillows team. Greetings from the Netherlands, everyone. I would also like to acknowledge all the speakers. I've learned quite a lot as well. I've written a lot of things down. And thank you for all your valuable contributions to the conference. In my session today, I would quickly, for time, present scientific evidence on the importance of exploring loneliness and the sense of belonging among high school students, and that's secondary school students, as we call them in Nigeria. I would also discuss why it is crucial to conduct focused research on this topic in Nigeria and across Africa as a continent. And I look forward to briefly share these insights with you and the discussions that will follow afterwards. I am presently collaborating with the University of Leiden in the Netherlands and the UCL in London. And my company is Starry Minds, which my able brother has introduced at the start of this conference. Okay, I will go quickly. When we talk about future-proofing education, we often focus on preparing students, which is what we've heard all day long, with the skills that they need in this rapidly changing world, skills like we just heard from the last speaker: critical thinking, adaptability, problem solving, emotional intelligence. However, scientific research tells us that these skills cannot fully develop unless students feel socially connected and they're emotionally safe in their learning environments. A lot of studies have been carried out, and I have 4 references on the screen, as you can see. The studies carried out in Australia, Finland, South Africa, and one study I found in Nigeria, which I'm so proud about. Results have shown that adolescents with a stronger sense of school belonging, they have shown lower depression, lower anxiety, lower stress, and also well into young adulthood. So this adolescents showed lower mental health problems well into their young adulthood, so well into like their 30s, and of course that went on and on further. And these studies also show that feeling socially valued at school was the strongest protective factor for later mental health development. And these benefits were seen as long-term and consistent across genders, highlighting that school belonging is a critical factor for lifelong well-being. While extensive research has been done in all of these countries, most of the results, of course, comes from developed countries. In Africa, and particularly in Nigeria, these studies are very scarce. And when you find this study, the measure of school belonging, they rely on standardized tools that are developed in the US, that are developed in Europe, or at best, I found a study that was developed based on the WHO global surveys. This is nice, but school belonging is a highly subjective and context-dependent experience. So there's a clear need for school-based and culturally grounded research to understand what belonging truly means for students in their own schools. And why is this important? When students don't feel like they belong at their school, loneliness, which is like a flip of the coin, emerges. And loneliness from the literature is a multi-dimensional concept. From the literature today, there are 3 distinct types of loneliness. There's emotional loneliness, which is a feeling of loss associated with the loss of a spouse or a loved one. There's also social loneliness, which is a feeling of loss associated with not having a best friend or a buddy. And there's also existential loneliness, which is a sense of emptiness and feeling alone even while you are with others. Understanding these dimensions is very crucial because loneliness can impact mental health, as I've explained before. And that also highlights a crucial link that addressing loneliness and fostering a sense of school belonging is not separate from future-proofing education. It is very central to it. And school is one of the main places which we've had all day long now, so I don't want to go so much into this slide. School is one of the major places where young people, they build friendships, they learn to interact with others. And our role as educators, we play a very important role. You all, I'm now actually on the other side now, but teachers and school staff can create supportive classroom environments that encourage inclusion and notice when students are struggling socially. And that's, I think, what has been really majorly highlighted today. And by facilitating positive peer interactions, educators can help support both students' learning and their long-term well-being. My research on loneliness, I've been doing research on loneliness now in the Netherlands and in some parts of Europe for the past 2 years, has identified a set of factors that consistently shape adolescents' experience of loneliness. And I'm just going to run quickly through them. We have overstimulating environments, like busy always, cluttered walls. There's also lack of supportive spaces, places to rest and connect or relax, poor toilet facilities, academic pressure, such as heavy workload, little time for recreation. We have social and emotional isolation, feeling invisible, feeling unsupported, or difficulty fitting in, the language, the bullying, or your culture and background. And yes, now I go straight. These findings that I've found out in my studies in Europe raise a very fundamental questions for me as a Nigerian. I have dual citizenship. I'm both Nigerian and Dutch, but as a Nigerian, this raises a very fundamental question for me. Is loneliness a universal experience, or does it take on different meanings for adolescents growing up in the Netherlands versus Nigeria? What remains constant and what changes across culture? And I found a very important quote because I'm a researcher. I like to lean on studies that have been done, that loneliness share common features across culture, but culture shapes it and it is shaped by culture. And this brings me to the overall aim of the research, which I like to do in Nigeria, which I currently do in Europe, but now I really want to focus in Nigeria and Africa, is to understand loneliness among Nigerian high school students and to propose inclusive school practices that foster a strong sense of school belonging. And in order to achieve this, we want to look at the meaning of loneliness. We want to identify factors that contribute to loneliness, and we want to determine school-specific strategies that can be adopted to create inclusive environment that promotes a sense of belonging. It is important to not only solely rely on Western measures of loneliness in our study, because loneliness is expressed, like I said earlier, differently across cultural concepts. So we're going to be using culturally grounded approaches to ensure that student voices are accurately represented and that these findings lead to school practices that are meaningful and relevant and very effective within Nigerian secondary schools. And this research is very unique in the sense that we will move beyond Western-based models of loneliness. We develop culturally grounded measures that reflect Nigerian students' lived-in experiences. We'll also use a mixed method approach, which is a combination of quantitative and qualitative research methods for deeper understanding. Also, because of my practical experience, which I still do, and it holds a very dear part of my heart, I would include the perspective of autistic students, so both neurotypical, we call them here holistic students, and the autistic students, and we will capture diverse perspective. And this will provide a more inclusive and context-sensitive understanding of loneliness. The study will involve high school students who are aged between 10 to 17 years old. Like I said, we'll use qualitative and quantitative data to provide comprehensive insights, and the research will result in practical school-specific manuals. So one school, one manual aimed at promoting students' sense of school belonging. And what do we need from schools that are interested? We will need schools to complete an interest form. I think it will be shared after my slide, my presentation. And when we get your interest form, then we would reach out to you and tell you a lot more about the research, which includes getting parental approval for students who are between 10 to 15 years. I'm not sure of the age in Nigeria. In the Netherlands, it's between 10 and 15. And the data collection will be at multiple time points. So it's going to be, like I said, quantitative and qualitative. The quantitative will just be online questionnaires, and the qualitative will be focus group discussions. And the study timeline, we're looking at starting in September 26. So this year from September, and it runs through a school year. So we can start 26 and end at 27, or we can start 27 and end 28, depending on the schedule and the calendar of each school, of course. And finally, what do you stand to gain as teachers or as schools? We offer long-term collaboration through partnerships with leading European universities. And this simply means that we would like to continue collecting data, like have a data bank for Nigeria students, so high school students. And a school, like I said earlier, schools will receive a customized plan to promote student belonging and inclusion. And of course, we give information, provide information and support regarding scholarship for your students and sponsorship opportunities. We'll also share this information with you. And after every data collection point, of course, we have little appreciation gifts for the students and the teachers. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you.
Amazing. Isn't that exciting? Can you see that in my family, we do big stuff, man? My family members are doing big stuff. I know you all are doing great stuff, but these are the things that make me excited that I have great siblings who are exceptional, doing amazing work. She was once a speaker. In fact, our first ambassador program, the conference actually in 2021, the first edition, she was one of the speakers, and my brother was here last year as well. I'm sure you all remember his session if you were here. But exciting to have her here to share this perspective in terms of what she's doing in her research, but also the opportunity she's providing to you. So if you're an educator, if you have a role in your school, something that you want this research to be done in your school, the link has been posted in the chat. This will be emailed to you as well. For those of you in the WhatsApp group, we're going to put it in the WhatsApp group as well. Please take advantage of this. She's going to be in person in Nigeria, in different parts during this research process, engaging the teachers, engaging the students, engaging the school. So if you're here, representative of a school, you want your school to be a part of this, excellent. Just complete that form and you will get in touch with you, all right? Ensure you include as many details as possible, all right? There's also a QR code here that I can screen in case you want to take a screenshot real quick. This is if you do a scan the barcode, you'll be able to get access to the form, all right? So you can complete the form, all right? I hope we get a lot of engagement on that. I already know that most of you are going to jump on that real quick. I warned ahead of time that many people will swamp this, but of course there'll be criteria for selection. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the presentation. Fantastic, fabulously done, and thank you for your patience. I know we are behind time. Really appreciate you all also for your patience. This has been quite a conference. Didn't think it was going to we're going to have so much rich content that would span 3 hours, but we learn every time we do this conference. So we're able to adjust and tweak. Please, if you have questions, I know there are a few of you that had questions. We don't have time to take the questions, but please, I want to provide you now with what is next. What is next? All right, you may be able to reach out to us for your questions because this conference is to awaken the consciousness of SEL in Nigeria and in Africa. That is what we're doing. We want to awaken the consciousness. It is not known as a concept here in the US where I'm based. It is all over. All schools are embedding SEL. The government is talking about SEL, but it's not known in Nigeria. Many schools don't know about it. Many teachers don't know about it. So in conferences like this, we're just awakening the consciousness. But when we have programs such as our ambassadors program, which happens every August, we're able to deep dive. The questions you have, we're able to answer. So one resource I have for you right now is our page. This is our website, www.markwillowsfoundation.com. There are tons of resources that have been uploaded there. All right. And when you go there as well, you're able to see our Medium page. So this is Medium. We post articles, SEL stories on Medium. Check out that. I'm going to post all these links in the comments as well. Check this out. You read stories about SEL to improve your knowledge about SEL. There's a book I wrote about SEL. If you scan this QR code, you're going to see the book and be able to download it for free. I'm going to post the link in the chat as well. These are resources you can begin to take advantage of. More than likely, any question you have has been written about. Somebody has talked about it. All right. But if it has not been written about, then maybe when you come to our ambassadors program, okay, which is this one happening in August, the registration link is not open yet. All right. Most likely it will be open next month or May. all right, you can now begin to ask deeper questions and then reach out to MarkWillows by email. We can go into all the details about how to get involved, how to work with parents, how to work with your colleagues, how to work with your school leader. All of those details will be covered when you join the ambassador. So look out for more information for this ambassador on the ambassadors program. But as we wrap up today, we also want to get your feedback. So this is the one I want to prioritize now. I'm going to post the other links as we wrap up, but I want you all to take a moment. I don't want you to leave without giving us your feedback. I know you all have said great things in terms of how the conference has been impactful, amazing, but I want you to either scan the QR code on your screen or click the link on that I've just put in the chat and tell us how you found the conference. That is the last thing we are doing right now. Tell us how you found the conference. Was it impactful? What are the lessons you learned? What can we do better? All of those things. Feedback is important. That's how we tweak and make adjustment. All right. So the link has just been put in the chat. I'm going to post all the other links as well in terms of how to download the book, Medium, and all of that. I'm going to post that, but I want to focus on this one so we can get your feedback, get your perspective. And while we're doing that, also take the opportunity to thank all our speakers who have been on this call for the last 3 hours, 15 minutes. Can you believe that? I want to thank all the speakers you can see on your screen. I want to thank Starry Minds, my sister. That's a company. She's a founder of this conference. She's passionate about the education sector, as you can tell, as you can see. Also want to thank the comms team in the back end, led ably by another dear sister of mine, Mofi Afani, lead founder of Bluecraft Consulting. Brilliant mind. So if you're looking to build your business, your brand, you want to export your brand to the next level, that is the company you want to work with. You want to get them to design a logo for you, build a website for you, engage on social media. Bluecraft Consulting, I recommend them. They've been responsible for all the designs, all the logos, posting online. That is there. And of course, MarkWillows Consulting, that is the parent company of MarkWillows Foundation. That's where we started. All of these organizations are supporting. If you know organizations that want to support us as well, please, they can reach out to us. But just want to thank all the speakers today, ranging from our illustrious professor. Thank you. She's still on the call. Can you believe that? She kept giving me insights. Let's do this. Let's do that. Questions here and there. So I had to coordinate many things in between, but really just appreciate the thoughtfulness and the presence. Just the fact that she's here with us warms my heart. All through the conference, she was giving me insight. Let's do this better. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Ma, for that. I'm going to reach out right after now. I want to thank Mrs. Iroro Medo, as it's not able to join us today. She's supposed to be giving us the closing remarks, but she's a government official. She works with Delta State government. She has an engagement today. That's why she's not able to join us. She sends her regards, and she's going to be joining us hopefully next year. Mrs. Mante Umo, I'm sure you all loved her session. Mr. Dami Ogutunde, fire power. All right. And then my sister, of course, please get involved in that research. Mr. Oluwaseyi, excellent presenter. Of course, winning awards, doing big stuff. And to all the SEL ambassadors that spoke, Martha, Dr. Joel, Stephen, Fumilayo, Emmanuel, Tolulokpe. I don't know if you believe that was a very powerful fireside chat with Tolulokpe and of course with Martha, excellently delivered. They brought in all the things they learned from Paxel. They brought in all the practices they are doing in their school, in their communities, and they gave us, and I can tell you for free, what they shared is like 30% of what they know. 30%, less than 30% even, because we didn't have time to go into certain things. So these are people who are practitioners. They are doing it. They are doing it. And I want to celebrate them as well. I celebrate my dear sister as well, Ms. Olayinka Adebayo, for hosting that, anchoring that session with Mr. Dami Ogutunde. And of course, all family members in the back end, my family members on my mother's side, on my wife's side, on my own side, for all the encouragement and all the support that they've given in implementing this. More importantly, my dear wife should be recognized. She's quiet. You don't see her so much, but she's the brain behind many things that you see happening today. I just want to celebrate you, Mrs. Oluwafo Inshallah Peace Bamdele. I celebrate you. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for all the great work. And to you all, every teacher, every educator on this call, thank you so much for all the great work. If you don't mind, if you can turn the camera, we're going to take a picture right now. Let me post all the links that I mentioned, our website, our platform on Medium, so you can read SEL stories, and then the link to download our course, my book, and then of course, to give us feedback in the conference. All right. Those are all the links I've just posted in the chat. If I were you, I will copy it and just paste it somewhere so you can follow up. Let us take a group picture and then we call it a day. If you can turn on your camera, this will be excellent. All right, let me take a group picture real quick and get as many of us on the screen as possible. All right, all right. Wow. Thank you all for all the people who stayed till the end. I know we started at about 100 people, but now we're at about 64, and that is understandable because people have things to do. But the recording is going to be sent out to everyone that registered. All right, so you can catch whatever you missed. All right, and then share it with friends. It's going to be on YouTube. Even the ones from previous years are also available. You can catch and keep learning. For us, the goal is to infuse SEL across life, so that you are constantly improving your skills, improving your perspectives. You are actually finding things to learn. All right, I've said so much. I can go on and on, but let's take our picture now. So let's pause and smile. And then I would. All right. 1, 2, go. Awesome. Okay, let's take one more because somebody dropped a comment in the chat and that showed after I posted, but let me take one more. Great. Awesome. God bless you. Thank you. Make sure that you do something with SEL come Monday morning. Make sure you do something with SEL in your classroom, in your school. Take something that you have learned and go run with it. All right. If you have questions for us, please send to our email address. All our information is out there on the website, out there on social media. Just Google MarkWillows Foundation. Google, check us out on LinkedIn, on all of those things. You can reach us. This is our passion. This is our call. We want SEL to spread. And thank you all so much for joining this conference today. See you again next year. First Saturday, I think in March 2027. That is going to be the next conference. God bless you all. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Professor Adiola Adeosun Oyenike. We love you. Thank you so much for your insight and for your support. And everybody on the call, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Love you all.